days, if you want to advertise to any website, we have to like provide our banner to those websites, and then they used to publish it on their websites. But with the use of the technology, this all has get changed. Now instead of providing any specific banner, we just provide one specific code to a specific website. Now on the basis of who views that particular website, or profile of that individual, it shows the ads. So for example, like everyone here in this particular premises try and go to the specific one website, but still everyone will see a different ad. Now that ad has come to you by using the programmatic technology at the back end instead of just direct normal technology. So what happens is, like, I'm just showing you what you like. So basically with the help of programmatic technology, you help three types of people. One is a user who sees only the ads which he likes. For example, if you see an ad on a money control or any websites like those, a Cartoon Network's ad, you wouldn't like it because that will disturb your user experience. Okay, so first thing is then user experience is what matters. Second, advertiser reaches to the right audience, because advertiser is the one who wants to have right audience. End of the day, advertising marketing is something like, you can put whatever money into it and it will just go unless until you're not able to get the proper ROI. So here we are trying to make sure that the advertiser gets an ROI. Third, the publisher, the money control or websites like those, they also gets more better money, because here all these ads come after auction. So there is something called as our system, we call it RTB, real time bidding. So every ads to every individual which has been seen by you or seen by anyone, that comes to an RTB system, which is called real-time bidding system. So basically, it's a technically, we tried using technology, we try using stuff in such a way that, all of these three entities, three people gets more benefited out of it. That's a programmatic advertising. Thank you.
Anything else? Any other question?
So just to add one, this is like, addition of digital only. This is digital advertising, but slowly, this all digital is coming to the different places. For example, you will start seeing there's something called as a DOH. You have heard of OOH, out of home. Then now it comes to DOH. Now this is further coming to PDOH, programmatic digital out of home. So there are systems which is getting developed by using the AI and ML. Okay, that you're able to identify and you're able to get the right. See, end of the day, it's very simple. In this premises, out of the 200 people, I should know who is my right audience. If I come to know that out of this 100, 200 people, this 2 or this 5 are my right audience, that is something what a business requires. And that is where the technology is leading towards. Thank you.
Navin ji.
How was your experience like getting registration first on MSME board and then coming to main board for listing?
Right. So, I mean, when we got listed, I think Rachana ma'am is going to be here. Under her only we got listed. I think we had like at 8:15 in the NSE board, we are at 225 people were inside the premises. So like obviously it's like a different experience we had when we got listed on an SME board. Because for us also it's like a new thing. And then slowly it has moved to the main board. Obviously it's a journey. But I would say in this way, getting listed is a start of journey. It's not the end of the journey. And then how you start, learning like how exactly, you can grow your company. See, every business, need to understand that if you have a vision to grow and if you can really make a right partners, you can really grow well. I mean, as what Ratan Tata always said, if you want to go far, you have to have people with you. Like that, so, I always felt being listed in it, you always have a lot of partners with you who handhold you at the same time, who make sure that, you also have like a pressure, obviously, at the back end to make sure that you deliver it. So it's not like you're the boss of everything, So it's good because it makes you in discipline. So obviously getting listed helps us a lot on that side. Thank you.
So may I now request CA Ankit Rathi?
With your permission, let me ask one question.
Yeah, sure, sir.
So like when you want service from a CA, what top 3 things come to your mind where you want a CA to support?
A good question. From इतने सारे CEO के सामने बोलना है तो संभल के बोलना पड़ेगा. Generally, as an entrepreneur, always ये पहला होता है. I'll be very honest in this way. अरे यार कितना चार्ज करेगा? या दूसरा क्या समझ में आएगा? इसको समझ में आया प्रॉफिट इतना है तो उस पे फिर चार्ज करेगा क्या वो? So I mean that's an entrepreneur which always think about to save the money. I mean that wherever they can save the money. But we all need to understand one thing. If we have to go for a value delivery instead of like what we look at the work delivery. उसके जैसा है वो मशीन में हथौड़ा कहाँ मारना है ना उसका 100 रुपये में से 99 रुपीज होता है एक रुपए हथौड़ा मारने का होता है. But the problem with entrepreneurs like us or anyone, we always feel like, अरे हथौड़ा ही तो मारना था यार, 1 रुपया 2 रुपया ले ले यार, और क्या है? But that is something which we need to understand and we need to accept, and that what's the value creation out of it. सर ने भी जिस बोला था कि हमें ना बिजनेस करना जानते हैं, but एक चीज है, CAs help us to create a wealth. So ये एक differentiation जिसको समझ में आते जाएगा ना, they will start valuing it and they will start understanding the actual value of the CA. Thank you.
Thank you.
So may I now request CA Ankit Rathi to propose well-deserved vote of thanks.
Thank you, Saurabh bhai. Very good evening, one and all. It's a matter of immense pleasure to present a well-deserved vote of thanks, formal vote of thanks to Hiren sir. Sir, thank you so much. Despite of your so much busy schedule, you accept our invitation and grace the occasion. I am sure, sir, after your finding and guidance, our member will updated his knowledge, sir. As rightly said by sir, MSME is contributing more than 37% GDP growth and more than 110 million jobs. It's very nice, sir. Sir, it's a matter of, again, great pleasure for all of us when some entrepreneur recognize our efforts and thank them. Thank you so much, sir, for your time.
May I now request CA Arpit Kabra and CA Sweta Jain to escort our new session speaker, CA Rajesh Sharma, sir. So to begin our first technical session on this topic of MSME, may I request CA Arpit Kabra to introduce our speaker and present his welcome note.
Good evening, everyone. Let's show some energy, guys. Good evening, everyone. This is the second session on a very important day, International MSME Day. And you've just been appraised and just been acknowledged and appreciated by a non-chartered accountant and MD of a big company. Can you please applause for each one of you? The value add that we drive in for so many business entrepreneurs. I think it calls for a huge celebration for us in one sort. So thank you, Hiren bhai, for recognizing our efforts, of course. Congratulations, Saurabh, for a well-designed program. International MSME Day really calls for a huge attention. I think the numbers that we are here calls for a introspection amongst us that how keen are we when we talk about value adding to MSMEs, and how keen are we doing the same old compliance stuff again and again in that entire cycle. Yeah. So I think whenever we do this, what I always believe is, these conferences like these seminars like these, there's a lot of efforts that put in, and a huge shout goes out to understand what really lies in a value add for us. Today, I've seen so many people amongst us, we are in some way or the other adding value. What we need to do is derive that out, create an example, show that inspiration to so many others so that, they can follow the same path. I think Ankit, for example, was here. He specializes into SME IPO listing. I think we've seen wonderful work done. And, as Hiren bhai mentioned, it was an absolute amazing experience. 225 people in that NSE, 850 M, ringing the bell, whatnot, and looking at, equity participation in the company growing, zooming and whatnot. So I think these are some of the small stuff. Instead of just listening and applauding, we need to first accumulatize and try and see how can we really implement as chartered accountants in all of these spaces. And एक रुपया दो रुपया हथौड़ा marna, I think that is the biggest value delivery that we can drive in. We know where to hit it right and how to hit it right. Believe me, according to, so we tour around a lot as a regional council member, we happen to travel around here and there everywhere. One thing that has come to my forefront is educational sector. Chartered accountancy course itself is undergoing a wonderful revolution. The CRET is announced. You must have all participated in that CRET, given that feedback. There is a big sector. I don't know how many have kids in the range who are in the age range of 5 years and all. Believe me, this market is roughly around 9,000 crore. And with the advent of virtual learnings, with the advent of newer and newer learnings, this space is gonna become the most sought after space. And this space will be largely be governed by an MSME. So if next time you come across any person who is into an educational sector, if next time you come across anyone who's trying to find out a funding prospection or whatever, make sure that you take equity in that company, stay with them, work with them, help them, because this sector is gonna see a huge growth. And believe me, this is what some wonderful experts have told me is gonna happen. And there could be so many other sectors. So I think when we talk about sectors which are promising, who else than the one person who lends them the most? So I think we recognize the efforts of SIDBI, who has been always there to support these MSMEs largely. And to represent SIDBI, we have Rajesh ji Sharma with us. So it's a pleasure to have you here in this seminar. Let me just introduce quickly. Rajesh Sharma is the branch head for SIDBI Andheri branch office, and I'm very happy that he is a chartered accountant. Let's first applaud him as a chartered accountant. He's driving this practice. So now you know that his doors are always open for each one of us. When brothers meet, I think the first what we do is take care of each other. So professionally, he's from 2008 batch. He's joined SIDBI through campus recruitment and has continued since then. He was an AGM in SIDBI and presently working as branch head. He looks after credit operations and funding for MSMEs. And prior to this, he's handled taxation and accounts for SIDBI and was involved in products and policy formulation benefiting MSMEs at large. So I think wonderful person and a very good fix even after having a start of this program. And we have someone from the other side of the table saying that ऐसे लोग हमारे पास funding लेके आ रहे हैं, तो आप लोग जरा ढूंढो बाहर में on the ground. If you can find out more of these people, I think there is one funding guy already ready. So I think it's a perfect setup for all of us to understand how these funding regime could kick in for MSMEs. Wishing you a wonderful learning ahead. International MSME Day is just a start. Make sure it doesn't end with the end of this conference. Please move out with a vision that maybe next 5 or 10 SMEs is where you'll have an equity participation, and keep an eye open for such more and more participation. And thank you. We look forward to having your feedback for WRC. Thank you very much. I request the Secretary Shweta Jain to please welcome Rajesh Sharma with a memento as a token of our appreciation in this conference. I'll join.
गुड इवनिंग एवरीवन। बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है। पहले डायस के उस तरफ बैठा करते थे, हमेशा स्टूडेंट थे। आज डायस पे पहली बार इंस्टीट्यूट ने मौका दिया है डायस पे बैठने का। और हमारे लिए बहुत सम्मान की बात है ये कि आज मैं फैकल्टी मेंबर या फैकल्टी स्पीकर के रूप में मुझे बुलाया गया यहाँ पे, तो मैं फक्र महसूस करता हूँ उसके लिए। और आई रियली सिंसियरली वांट टू थैंक द एंटायर टीम ऑफ ICI हु हैज ऑर्गेनाइज्ड दिस प्रोग्राम एंड स्पेशली द ऑडियंस हु हैव। तो मैं मैस्मराइज सा फील कर रहा हूँ इस समय बस। ऑल राइट, speaking about the importance of chartered accountant before I come on the schemes, what SIDBI has done and what we can do together. वहाँ आएगा ना टेलीविजन नो चार्टेड अकाउंटेंट्स का इंपॉर्टेंस क्या है और सीएस क्या कर सकते हैं मैं शुरू करूंगा वो भी 4 दिन पहले मुझे और पता चला जस्ट 4 डेज पहले मैं वसई गया था एक कंपनी को लोन का रिक्वायरमेंट था तो जब मैं उनको स्कीम एक्सप्लेन कर रहा था तो मैंने उनसे पूछा कि भाई आपकी क्या रिक्वायरमेंट है तो उन्होंने कहा सर जी हमें तो चाइना से कुछ मशीनें इंपोर्ट करनी है और मेरा फंडिंग रिक्वायरमेंट कुछ 5 करोड़ के आसपास का है कंपनी बड़ी पुरानी है फार्मा में है तो मैंने पूछा अभी आप कहाँ से बैंकिंग कर रहे हैं तो उन्होंने कहा कि हम लोग अभी एक्सिस बैंक से बैंकिंग करते हैं अच्छा इत्तेफाक से मैं वहाँ इसलिए पहुंचा क्योंकि उस कंपनी के जो ऑडिटर हैं वो मेरे अच्छे दोस्त हैं तो उन्होंने सोचा कि व्हाई नॉट लेट द कंपनी जॉइन सिडबी प्लेटफॉर्म तो हम वहाँ गए वहाँ जाने के बाद मैंने उनसे जब पूछा कि भाई आप किससे बैंकिंग करते हैं दे सेड वी बैंक विद एक्सिस आई सेड ओके फाइन व्हाट इंटरेस्ट रेट ही सेज 9% आई सेज व्हाट कोलेटरल यू हैव गिवन टू देम he said I have mortgaged 2 factories my personal guarantees and the hypothecation of the assets all right fine so now what you need from me he said I need 5 crore I said fine then he asked me what will be your terms I said we will offer you the loan at 6% I will not ask for any collateral security and I'll be only requiring basic minimum documents after hearing this I was shocked with the response that gentleman gave to me he said no I am okay with the Axis Bank I will not go with you I said why you will not go with us बोले साहब उन्होंने 5 करोड़ की सीसी लिमिट दे रखी है मैं जैसे मर्जी होता है चेक फाड़ लेता हूँ मेरा काम हो जाता है तो मैं आपको अपना प्रमोटर कंट्रीब्यूशन भी क्यों दूं बिकॉज आई आस्क देम कि आप अपने प्रमोटर कंट्रीब्यूशन को मुझे 25% एफडी के रूप में दे दीजिए वही मेरी सिक्योरिटी होगी उसी पे मैं आपका लोन सर्विसिंग करेंगे हम लोग बोले नहीं साहब मैं तो 25% नहीं दूंगा तो इतनी लुक्रेटिव स्कीम होने के बाद भी वो नहीं समझे जब हम बाहर आए जिन चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट के साथ मैं गया था उन्होंने बोला राजेश जी ये बोतल में ऐसे नहीं उतरेगा मैं बात करता हूँ सो सी द इम्पोर्टेंस उसको उनको मालूम था कि इनको समझाना पड़ेगा तो एज अ बैंकर आई कुड मेक हिम एक्सप्लेन बट यू गाइस कैन डू आप कर सकते हैं वो सब और यकीन मानिए बैंकिंग सिस्टम आप लोगों पे बहुत आधारित है आप लोगों मैं ऐसा मानता हूं बिकॉज आई ऑल्सो बिलोंग टू द सेम फ्रेटर्निटी इसी परिवार का हिस्सा हूं मैं इसलिए मैं जानता हूं कि आप लोगों का इंपॉर्टेंस क्या है किस तरह से है जैसा चेयरमैन साहब भी कह रहे थे एक छोटी सी मेरी निवेदन है आप लोगों से बस जो मैंने 14 साल के वर्क एक्स में सीखा यहाँ सिडबी के अंदर एजुकेशन बहुत जरूरी है एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को हम एक तरफ उनको ये गाइड करते हैं कि टैक्स प्लानिंग कैसे करें लेकिन उस चक्कर में होता यह है कि उनके बुक्स खराब हो जाते हैं और बुक्स खराब होते हैं तो बैंक के लिए वो स्ट्रेंजर है हाउ आई वुड रिलाई जब हम नौकरी भी करने जाते हैं तो बीकॉम एमकॉम जो भी हमारी मार्कशीट है उनके क्राइटेरिया होते हैं उसी को देख के ही सब आगे चलता है काम इसी तरह से बैंकिंग इज ऑल्सो डिपेंडेंट ऑन दैट एंड प्लीज ये बात आप समझ लें सर कि जरूरी नहीं है इट इज ऑलवेज अ कोलेटरल बेस्ड लैंडिंग कोलेटरल समटाइम्स इट इज रिक्वायर्ड समटाइम इट इज अनरिक्वायर्ड ये फेस टू फेस और केस टू केस बेसिस पे वेरी करता है Now I'll not take much time. I'll come straight to the schemes what we have with SIDBI जो आपके लिए बड़ा अच्छा पोटेंशियल है जो भी यहाँ पे प्रोजेक्ट फाइनेंसिंग में इन्वॉल्व है जो भी सीएस या जो नहीं है जिनका कीन इंटरेस्ट है तो मैं आप सभी को वेलकम करूंगा सिडबी अंधेरी ऑफिस MIDC so I'll start with the first scheme which is this is the scheme Arise. I hope you can see this scheme on your screen. All right, so I'll not take much time. I'll just brief it. These pamphlets, etc. I can mail you also. I'll just explain in brief what the scheme is all about. Arise scheme है existing MSMEs के लिए किसी भी रनिंग MSME एंटरप्राइज को अगर मशीनरी की जरूरत है इक्विपमेंट की जरूरत है जनरली 4 करोड़ 5 करोड़ की फंडिंग बाहर बैंक्स जो हैं या NBFCs दे लेंट एट वेरी हाई रेट कंपनी NBFCs हो गई या और कोई कमर्शियल बैंक हो गया दे गो फॉर हैवी कोलैटरल्स SIDBI is not focusing on collateral. SIDBI is focusing on well-running MSME units. इस स्कीम के अंदर 25 सेक्टर हैं जो शायद आप लोगों को पता होगा। मेक इन इंडिया के जो 25 सेक्टर थे वही सारे सेक्टर इसमें भी हैं। तो अगर आपका कोई भी क्लाइंट, कस्टमर या जिनके आप ऑडिट देखते हैं, टैक्स देखते हैं, अकाउंट्स देखते हैं, अगर वो इंटरेस्टेड हैं, अगर उनको फंडिंग चाहिए, यू कैन कॉन्टैक्ट मी। आप मेरे ब्रांच ऑफिस आके मुझसे मिल सकते हैं। इस स्कीम में कुछ नहीं है सर, सिंपल सा मैं आपको एग्जांपल देके बता देता हूँ, दैट्स ऑल। सपोज कीजिए आपका प्रोजेक्ट कॉस्ट 100 रुपए का है, तो इसमें जो प्रमोटर कंट्रीब्यूशन है या जो एंटरप्रेन्योर को अपना पैसा लगाना है, वो प्रोजेक्ट में इन्वेस्ट नहीं करेगा। वो दैट आई विल आस्क हिम 25 to 30% FDR टू बी केप्ट विद मी। वो एक सिक्योरिटी डिपॉजिट की जैसे मेरे पास रहेगा। उस पे 5.60% के हिसाब से क्वार्टरली कंपाउंडिंग, उसको जब लोन उसका खत्म हो जाएगा, वी विल पे हिम बैक। सर 5.6 इज वेरी लुक्रेटिव रेट एज ऑफ नाउ ऑन FD। नाउ इसमें क्या होगा, 100 रुपए के प्रोजेक्ट कॉस्ट में सपोज कीजिए कोई मशीन आ रही है, उसकी कॉस्ट 100 रुपए है, मैं 100 रुपए पूरे फंड करूंगा एज अ सिडबी लैंडर। आई विल फंड एंटायर अमाउंट। व्हाट आई वांट, हिज प्रमोटर कंट्रीब्यूशन जो वो इन्वेस्ट करता अदरवाइज, मैं उस 30% 25% कंपोनेंट को अपने पास सिक्योरिटी के रूप में रखूंगा। बस यही स्कीम है। और जैसे ही लोन खत्म हुआ उनका, द FDR अमाउंट विल बी गिवन बैक टू देम। और इसमें जो इंटरेस्ट रेट वेरी करती है सर, दैट इज वेरी लुक्रेटिव। दिस विल वेरी बिटवीन 6.5 to 7.05% मैक्सिमम, कोलेटरल फ्री, नथिंग एल्स इज रिक्वायर्ड। ओनली द बेसिक डॉक्यूमेंट्स व्हिच एवरी बैंक आस्क, KYC डॉक्यूमेंट्स, फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स, बैंक स्टेटमेंट्स, दैट्स ऑल। Sir, being no, it doesn't require any CGT MSE. We do not require any NCGTC. You know, finance SIDBI का major role, sir. You know, we are not a typical lender for SMA. There are so many schemes. The session is small, so I'll not take much time. SIDBI incentivize करने के लिए हमारे पास monetary schemes हैं, non-monetary schemes हैं, fiscal schemes हैं, non-fiscal schemes हैं। बहुत सारे dimensions में SIDBI काम कर रहा है SMEs के लिए। आप sidbi.in पे अगर आप विजिट करेंगे, come to know what a huge array of services SIDBI has offered to the MSME units। और इसमें CGTMA से कवर नहीं चाहिए, इसमें NCGT से कवर नहीं चाहिए, simply that 30% 25% FDR deposit, that's all, और कुछ नहीं चाहिए। पहले लोगों को MSME यूनिट्स को सबसे बड़ी शिकायत ये हुआ करती थी सर कि बैंक्स जो हैं 5 करोड़ के लोन के लिए 10 करोड़ का कोलेटरल मांगते हैं, कहाँ से लाएं हम लोग। उस प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व किया SIDBI ने, और ये पहला प्रोडक्ट है जो जिसको अराइज कहते हैं। जी मैम। No, nothing, only FDR, because that is not as security. Rather, what I'm saying, ma'am, the promoter contribution. Otherwise, he is going to invest in the project. He has to invest. Over that, he has to give me collateral also. This is the conventional financing. But SIDBI, what has done, we have skipped one level. We are saying you don't invest into it. You give us the FDR. We will invest on your behalf. We will acquire the entire machinery of ₹100. 30 you keep with me, and 30 we will return after your loan gets squared off. G. Sorry, I can't hear you. All right. टिकट साइज में इसमें सर, इसमें मैक्सिमम 5 करोड़ तक का लोन हो सकता है, मैक्सिमम 5 करोड़। और अगर आप उससे भी ज्यादा चाहते हैं तो अप टू 7 करोड़ हो सकता है, लेकिन फिर वो FD मॉडल में नहीं होगा सर। उस जी minimum size, there is no minimum size. We can consider 20 lakh also if required. There is no minimum size. Maximum loan size 5 crore. It can go up to 7 crore, but then it will not be under FDR model. वो FDR मॉडल में नहीं होगा, फिर उसमें कन्वेंशनल फैशन आ जाता है। 5 करोड़ की लिमिट रखने का लॉजिक सिर्फ ये था सर कि मेजोरिटी हमने अपने एक्सपीरियंस में देखा है, इन जनरल मशीनों जो उनकी रिक्वायरमेंट होती है SMEs की, वो 4 से 5 करोड़ के अंदर लगभग पूरी हो जाती है। सो इसीलिए इसको 5 करोड़ रखा है फास्टर डिस्पेंसेशन में। टैट के लिए सर, टैट डिपेंड करता है आपकी प्रोएक्टिवनेस पे। बिलीव में, ये मेरा एक्सपीरियंस है सर। आप जितने प्रोएक्टिव हैं, मेरे पास एक एप्लीकेशन आई हुई है, 26 दिन से पड़ी है। So yes, I can guarantee on this platform here in front of all of you, आप मुझे complete application के साथ complete information देंगे, within 7 working days you will get sanction, and on 10th working day you will get disbursed. जी, definitely sir, thank you so much, thank you so much. So this is Arise. So now, okay. Any more question? Sorry?
Sir,
yes, we are into LC, but we do not offer any export credit packing. Those facilities SIDBI doesn't offer. SIDBI generally lends term loan, working capital, LC. BG also, but very selectively. because I'll just take a very छोटा सा मैं आपको सिडबी के बारे में बता दूं. We are financial institution, sir. We are not a commercial bank. We are exclusive financial institution who's only working for MSMEs. We have only 800 staff strength across India. It is such a small organization. So we do direct finance. We only do which the banks are not doing in general. Or if they are doing, they're charging hefty rates. Yes, sir. Please. Anyone
Sir,
else?
machinery loan is applicable only for manufacturing or for service provider also?
Sir, manufacturing or
Service
सर
provider.
सर्विस सेक्टर में मेरा एक्सपीरियंस ये रहा है कि सर्विस सेक्टर में मशीनरी का जरूरत होता नहीं है. इन जनरल बीपीओस, केपीओस या सॉफ्टवेयर डेवलपमेंट कंपनीज ये सब हमारे पास आते हैं इंटेंजिबल्स डेवलपमेंट के लिए बेसिकली.
Sir, what about the businessmen who are provide machine on hiring basis?
I didn't get your question, sir.
Businessmen take acquire the machines and give on rental basis.
Okay, now your case specific query this is, I believe so. Yeah, this can be done. This
Okay.
can be done. This can be done, no problem. Hire purchase sort of arrangement.
Yeah,
We can
yeah.
do. We can do under arise under same model, provided the proposal has to be support worthy.
Okay.
You know, I'll just tell you, sir, I'll take your question. Sorry, sir. You know what happens? What I have seen in my 14 years career in SIDBI, a party requires a loan of 50 lakh rupee. He shows a turnover of 8 crore rupee. I have seen these balance sheets. I have seen these profits and loss statements. 50 लाख का लोन चाहिए, 8 करोड़ का टर्नओवर करता है वो, और प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस स्टेटमेंट में 16,230 रुपए प्रॉफिट दिखाता है. और फिर वो ये आके बोलते हैं कि आप तो एमएसएमई को सपोर्ट करते हो, आप मना कैसे कर सकते हो मुझे. तो दिस क्रिएट्स अ प्रॉब्लम देयर. दैट्स वेयर योर रोल कम इनटू पिक्चर. एजुकेशन. हम जितना कर पाते हैं हम बोलते हैं, लेकिन आप लोगों की बात वो उस तरह से सुनेगा जैसे मेरी नहीं सुनेगा वो. तो फ्यूचर एक्सपेंशन के लिए आप तैयार करें उनको. जैसे सर है, प्रोप्राइटरशिप से शुरू किया इन्होंने, और रजिस्टर्ड ऑन एसएमई, और कितनी कंप्लायंसेस हैं, ह्यूज. तो ये है. हाँ जी, नेक्स्ट कोई और पूछना चाहता है राइस पे? आई हैव 3 more schemes to go. I'll come on to this. I have one more scheme. I'll come on to your question, sir.
Sir, I got 2
So,
questions.
so
Okay.
what is the CIBIL score benchmark?
Okay, CIBIL score benchmark is it is actually weighted average we take. It is not an individual CIBIL. We take weighted average. Let's say कंपनी में 4 प्रमोटर हैं, चारों को 25% स्टेक है. एग्जांपल theoretically उन चारों का जो weighted average बनेगा वो CIBIL score होगा, which should not be less than 700.
Okay, thank you.
Sir,
जी. Minimum turnover. We don't require minimum turnover because the loan size will of course will be strictly compared with the turnover levels.
No, in this the mention that a minimum audited balance sheet required.
Yeah.
So 10 crore and above will do the audit.
10 crore and above?
That will be the audit. So how turnover will?
No, that is okay. That is just written. In case you have a turnover of 8 crore, which is not applicable for 44AB, that's okay. That's okay.
sir, I got 2 questions.
Ji,
So, sir, lately I visited SIDBI actually for.
I cannot see you. Where are you?
Sir, here.
Okay, sorry. It's a echo, so I cannot see the face. I can hear the sound. Yeah, please.
So,
Ji.
lately actually I visited SIDBI for one of the scheme, that's the Sthapan scheme.
Yeah.
So it was mentioned that we need to maybe give some collateral. So
Right.
you mentioned just now that it is not required, which is of course not mentioned in the scheme as well.
Right.
So I wanted to ask, like, what parameters are there, basis that which you take collateral or you don't take?
I understand. All right. I'll come to your question also again because one more sir asked the question about greenfield. Then I'll come on to you also.
Yes, sir.
The question pertains to the same scheme. That's why.
Okay. So one more question
Yeah.
I have, like you mentioned, like you take around 25% of the collateral, like in the form of FD. So-
25 to 30, madam. It will vary.
Yeah.
It will vary.
So my question is little bit from the SIDBI's side, like
Yeah.
who, if in case the loan goes NPA, who does the who takes the fall? Like SIDBI takes it?
मैम अगर एनपी हो गया तो मेरी जिम्मेदारी है मैडम.
Yeah,
पहले
that-
तो आपकी है, आप मुझे
Yeah.
पैसा चुकाएं. अगर आप नहीं चुका पाते हैं then I have no option to go for surface CA. I'll not
whatever.
go into that detail.
Yeah.
But ultimately it becomes responsibility of the bank once you fail to pay.
Definitely. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. तीन स्कीम्स और हैं आपके, उनमें भी बहुत सवाल आएंगे, तो मैं चाहूंगा एक बार आप स्कीम्स देख लें, एक बार सुन लें, उसके बाद फिर योर क्वेश्चन आर वेलकम. So this is Arise. Now we'll come to the second scheme, which is known as Stapan. Now I'll address the project which are yet to start from scratch. One gentleman asked this question about technically these projects are called as greenfield in banking terminology. Greenfield projects. इस स्कीम को स्थापन कहते हैं. स्थापन में लैंड स्टैंड अलोन लैंड परचेज कोई बैंक नहीं करता है सर, तो वो होगा नहीं. इट हैज टू बी फॉर बिजनेस लोन. स्टैंड अलोन लैंड फंडिंग नहीं करेगा सिडबी, पॉलिसी नहीं है उसका. लेकिन अगर आप नया फैक्ट्री सेटअप डालना चाहते हैं जहां लैंड भी है, बिल्डिंग भी है, मशीनें भी आनी है, टोटली न्यू प्रोजेक्ट as a measure of modernization, or you can say the expansion of the existing company because of the space constraint, technology upgradations, whatever you name it. So अगर वो नई कंपनी शुरू करना चाहते हैं या नया प्रोजेक्ट लगाना चाहते हैं, we can consider under स्थापन. The only requirement under स्थापन is the critical requirement that the promoter who is going to set up this new project, he has to mandatorily have the experience of the same activity for 5 years and more. That is minimum requirement. So let's say कोई प्लास्टिक इंजेक्शन मोल्डेड प्रोडक्ट्स बनाता है, सपोज कीजिए. नाउ दैट जेंटलमैन वाज लेट अस से दैट जेंटलमैन वाज वर्किंग विद सम कंपनी इन जो प्लास्टिक मोल्डेड प्रोडक्ट्स में थी. वहां उसने 10 साल काम करने के बाद नाउ ही वांट टू सेट अप हिज ओन फैक्ट्री प्रेमाइस, या अपना खुद का प्रोजेक्ट डालना चाहता है वो आफ्टर गेनिंग द एक्सपीरियंस. सच सॉर्ट ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट वी कैन कंसीडर. इसमें कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. इट इज नॉट मैंडेटरली रिक्वायर्ड कि उसको प्लांट ऑपरेट करने का पूरा एक्सपीरियंस हो उस तरह से, एक फुल फ्लेजेड कैपेसिटी को. स्थापन में ग्रीनफील्ड प्रोजेक्ट आएंगे जैसा मैंने आपको बताया. इसके अंदर एफडी वाला जो मॉडल अराइज में था वो मॉडल यहाँ नहीं है. दिस इज टिपिकली अ कोलेटरल बेस्ड लैंडिंग, क्योंकि ग्रीनफील्ड प्रोजेक्ट में जस्टेशन बहुत हाई होता है, इम्प्लीमेंटेशन रिस्क बहुत बड़ा होता है. एंड सर जनरली आप जो इस बिजनेस में है वो अच्छे से जानते हैं कि बाहर कोई भी कमर्शियल बैंक, एनबीएफसी तो बिल्कुल नहीं टच नहीं करते हैं ये लोग ग्रीनफील्ड प्रोजेक्ट्स को, जहां पे रिक्वायरमेंट 10 करोड़ 15 करोड़ की है. But SIDBI is doing that aggressively, but of course the case should be support worthy. उसमें दम होना चाहिए प्रपोजल में. और स्थापन के अंदर भी यही है कि इसमें एफडी की बजाय वी जस्ट टेक दी कोलैटरल्स, और प्रमोटर कंट्रीब्यूशन इसमें मिनिमम 25% है. स्कीम आपके सामने है, बेसिक है ये सब. मैक्सिमम 20 करोड़ तक जा सकते हैं हम, और इसमें मिनिमम लोन साइजेस मतलब अप टू 15 करोड़, दैट इज द मैक्सिमम कैप. वो मैक्सिमम कैप है. मैक्सिमम 20 करोड़ तक जा सकते हैं इस स्कीम के अंदर. सो अगर सच अ ह्यूज अमाउंट वी आर फंडिंग, सो उसके लिए उसी हिसाब से थोड़े रिस्क मिटिगेंट्स भी प्लेस में रखने पड़ते हैं, विच इज ऑफ कोर्स ऑलवेज म्यूचुअली नेगोशिएबल. सो जो मैम का सवाल था पीछे, जो कोलैटरल सिक्योरिटी वाले पॉइंट पे था मैम, मे भी हो सकता है आपका जो प्रपोजिशन जो आपने सबमिट किया हो, मे भी ये स्थापन में यहाँ आके फंसा हो, शायद, मुझे ऐसा लगता है. व्हाट द ब्रांच वुड हैव एडवाइज्ड यू. वेयर डिड यू गो, व्हिच लोकेशन? Thane you went, or मैम समटाइम्स क्या होता है ना, मैं आपको बताऊं, देयर इज नो फिक्स थंब रूल. बैंकिंग इज नेवर अ फिक्स थंब रूल, बिलीव मी. ये बहुत चीजें मैटर करती हैं उसमें. ये स्कीम है, इसके हिसाब से सारी चीजें हो जाएंगी, ऐसा बहुत मतलब जरूरी नहीं है वैसा का वैसा चीजें हों. कुछ 19-20 हमेशा रहता है, तो उसको एडजस्ट करने के लिए फिर बैंक्स गो फॉर समथिंग एडिशनल कि भाई आपकी तरफ से ये कंफर्ट मिल जाएगा, वी विल डू, बट वी नीड दिस मच और दैट मच. उस तरह से चलता है, क्योंकि सैंक्शन इन्वॉल्व्स लॉट ऑफ प्रोसीजर्स. आपका रेटिंग होता है, आपके बेंचमार्किंग होती है, बहुत चीजें होती हैं. देयर आर सो मेनी मल्टीपल चैनल्स जहां से हमें एज अ ब्रांच हेड आप मेरे पास केस लाएंगे, मुझे मल्टीपल अथॉरिटीज से फाइट करना पड़ेगा आपके केस को निकालने के लिए, ताकि उसको उसमें जितनी भी प्रॉब्लम्स है सबको फिल्टर करके मैं पहले से सेफगार्ड करने की पूरी कोशिश करूंगा. तो रिजिड कुछ देयर इज नो थंब रूल सॉर्ट ऑफ. सो नाउ विल गो टू ऑन द नेक्स्ट. इफ स्थापन में, हाँ सर, सीआरई सिडबी ने बंद कर दिया है. बहुत जबरदस्त हाथ जलाए हमने उसमें. हाँ, कमर्शियल एस्टेट सिडबी ने बंद कर दिया है. इनफैक्ट मैं आपसे शेयर करूंगा थोड़े बहुत अचीवमेंट. एसएमई लिस्टिंग सर जानते होंगे, एसएमई लिस्टिंग सिडबी ने भी शुरू किया. वी फाउंड सो मेनी एंकर इन्वेस्टर्स फॉर द न्यूली प्रमोटेड एसएमई जो एसएमई प्लेटफॉर्म पर लिस्ट हुए. वो एक्टिविटी भी हमने बंद कर दी बिकॉज गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया का कुछ और सोचना था उसके लिए, तो हमने वो बंद कर दिया. हमारे पास ऐसी स्कीम्स थी 2008-2009 में, नो वन डिड इन इंडिया. इवन टुडे वेंचर कैपिटल या पी इन्वेस्टर्स बेशक करते हैं वो लोग, बट दे आर टोटली प्राइवेट एंटिटीज. हमने रिस्क कैपिटल दिया, हमने इक्विटी पार्टिसिपेशन किया, हमने प्रेफरेंस कैपिटल पार्टिसिपेशन किया। ये सब हमने सिर्फ एमएसएमई प्रमोट करने के लिए किया, विद नॉट विद द इंटेंशन टू मेक द ह्यूज प्रॉफिट्स। उस तरह का इंटेंशन था नहीं। नाउ कमिंग टू द नेक्स्ट स्कीम। जी, माइनिंग। सर देखिए, मुंबई में चारों तरफ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है, आपने देखा होगा, ड्रिल आती है, मूविंग मशीन आती हैं। वी कैन कंसीडर सर, नहीं, हमारी ब्रांच नेटवर्क है मुंबई अंधेरी, जो जहां मैं बैठता हूं MIDC अंधेरी में, आई कैन गो अप टू पालघर, आई कैन गो अप टू डोंबिवली, आई कैन गो अंबरनाथ, रवाले, बट इफ यू आस्क मी फंड माय प्रोजेक्ट इन MP नागपुर, आई विल नॉट डू, आई कैन नॉट डू, I cannot do, that is not permitted as per my rules and regulations। वहां मैं नहीं जा सकता, लेकिन आपके रिक्वायरमेंट को पूरा करने के लिए नागपुर ब्रांच से यू कैन गेट कनेक्टेड, और आई कैन कनेक्ट देम विथ यू जहां ऐसा रिक्वायरमेंट है। अभी रिसेंटली एक प्रोजेक्ट आया बैद्यनाथ का, दे आर सेटिंग अप अ फैक्ट्री इन मध्य प्रदेश, but I cannot fund it, so I have to say no to them, so I connected them with the Indore in charge। Okay, now coming to the scheme next, anything else? Huh? Yes, we have 763 branches across India, sir। 63 और सब कैपिटल सिटीज और Tier 1 सिटीज में है सर। वो मैंने जैसा आपको कहा कि कमर्शियल बैंक नहीं है हम, so we do not have that huge infrastructure, that's why our role is limited, sir। Okay, now coming to the next scheme। ये वो स्कीम है 4E एनर्जी स्कीम बोलते हैं इसे, 4E एनर्जी। ये स्कीम बहुत अच्छी है सर, आप थोड़ा ध्यान दें इस पे। इसमें क्या है, ये वो असेट्स हैं सर जिनको कोई हाथ नहीं लगाता है, लेकिन SIDBI बहुत अग्रेसिवली कर रहा है, और वो भी ऐसी लुक्रेटिव रेट्स पे। See, my intention to come here to create this awareness, क्योंकि अंधेरी में जो ब्रांच खुली है, that's new, and I want to build the portfolio, and that could be possible, let us mutually help each other। 4E एनर्जी एफिशिएंसी स्कीम में क्या है, जितनी भी एनर्जी एफिशिएंट मशीन है, लेट अस से पावर प्लांट, फोटोवोल्टिक पावर प्लांट, सोलर, विंड, ये वो इस तरह की कोई भी प्रोजेक्ट जो अपने कैप्टिव कंजम्पशन या कमर्शियल कंजम्पशन के लिए कोई भी एंटरप्रेन्योर अपने फैक्ट्री में लगाना चाहता है, करना चाहता है, उन सब इक्विपमेंट्स को यहाँ पे फंड किया जाता है। इसमें मैक्सिमम 3 करोड़ का लोन होता है सर, और इसमें डिटेल एनर्जी ऑडिट होती है, जो कि BEE सर्टिफाइड एनर्जी ऑडिटर करता है। लेकिन इसकी रिक्वायरमेंट तब नहीं होगी अगर आपका प्रोजेक्ट कॉस्ट में 60% या उससे ज्यादा एनर्जी एफिशिएंट मशीनें हैं। इसमें मेजॉरिटी आपके जो प्रपोजल फिट होंगे, जो मेरे पास आ रहे हैं आजकल, वो आ रहे हैं ज्यादातर, आजकल गवर्नमेंट का थ्रस्ट है ग्रीन एनर्जी पे, तो फैक्ट्री एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को यही बोला गया कि आप अपने फैक्ट्री रूफ पे या अपने प्रेमाइसेस के अंदर सोलर पावर प्लांट लगाएं आप। तो वो जितने भी डिवाइसेज हैं जिनको आप तो सब सीए हैं, आप जानते हैं, पहले साल में राइट ऑफ मार देते हैं हम लोग, उसका कोई वर्थ नहीं है उसका बाद में, तो कोई बैंक्स जनरली उनको टच नहीं करते हैं। सो वी आर फंडिंग दैट क्लीन एंड ग्रीन एनर्जी प्रोडक्शन ऑल्सो एक तरह से। तो इसमें भी जो रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट है सर, दैट विल नॉट गो मैक्सिमम बियॉन्ड 6.5%। द रेट्स व्हिच आई एम कोटिंग यू इज नोवेयर अवेलेबल इन इंडिया, किसी भी बैंक, किसी भी NBFC, कहीं पे भी। So I'll expect you कि आप लोग भी अपने ponder on these schemes and जी। किसमें सर सब्सिडी इज नॉट डेल्ट बाय अस, सब्सिडी इज नॉट डेल्ट बाय अस, सब्सिडी इज ओनली CLC से सब्सिडी है, और टफ्स की सब्सिडी होती है जो SIDBI के पास आती है, अदरवाइज वो डायरेक्टली एजेंसी टू एजेंसी हैंडल होता है। राइट, सॉरी सर, स्टैंड अलोन सोलर प्रोजेक्ट SIDBI इज नॉट फंडिंग हियर, द कैप इज 3 करोड़। वी आर सी सर, ये सोलर प्रोजेक्ट्स या जो पावर प्रोजेक्ट्स होते हैं, दीज आर इंफ्रा प्रोजेक्ट्स, और इनका कॉस्ट ऑफ इन्वेस्टमेंट कैपेक्स बहुत हैवी होता है। कैप्टिव तो मैं वैसे भी 3 करोड़ का यहाँ कर ही रहा हूँ, उसके लिए तो मैंने 4E आपको ऑफर कर ही दी है। जो आप कह रहे हैं सर, वो जैसे लेट से 25 करोड़ का प्रोजेक्ट है, 30 करोड़ का, ओके, इन अ रनिंग फैक्ट्री। स्कूल सर, स्कूल सर SIDBI में, and I cannot say precisely for other commercial bank, I really don't have that facts updated, but SIDBI ने एजुकेशन को इंडस्ट्री का दर्जा नहीं दिया है। So if it is not an industry, I cannot go it। तो एजुकेशन सेक्टर को उन्होंने इंडस्ट्री नहीं माना है। So we are not funding school education या वहां पे जो भी कोई इक्विपमेंट लग रहा है। जी सर, इक्विपमेंट्स, yes very much, not only that but green building, let us say आपकी बिल्डिंग है, उसके कांच रिप्लेस करने हैं उसको ग्रीन एनर्जी के लिए, कोई नहीं करेगा सर बाहर, बट वी डू। तो उसकी ऑडिट होती है, वो ऑडिट का एक फीस लगता है, वो एक्सपेंडिचर होने के बाद यू कैन कम टू अस, अगर वो रिपोर्ट में ये बोलते कि हाँ जी ओके है, ठीक है। जैसे सोलर पावर प्लांट तो पूरा ही वैसे एनर्जी एफिशिएंट डिवाइस है, तो उसमें 60% वाला क्राइटेरिया नहीं लगेगा। जो मैंने अभी आपसे कहा था कि अगर एनर्जी एफिशिएंट मशीन 60% या उससे ज्यादा है प्रोजेक्ट में, तो आपको डिटेल एनर्जी ऑडिट कराने की जरूरत नहीं है, ठीक है। ऑल राइट, I cannot hear you, sir. Rate of interest मैंने बताया, it will not exceed 6.5. That's maximum. स्थापन में अभी आपने देखा होगा मई महीने के अंदर आरबीआई ने 2 बार रेपो रेट बढ़ा दी. स्थापन में we were offering greenfield units. Can you believe? Greenfield units को 6% पे लोन दिया हमने. But because of this rise in RBI repo, हमारा rate of interest स्थापन में अभी वैरी कर रहा है सर 6.5 से 7.25 के बीच में. और that will depend on the rating. तो मैं आपको रेंज दे सकता हूँ, precise interest rate possible नहीं है बताना. ठीक है सर. So now the last scheme. This is संगम. ये उन लोगों के लिए जिनको कोई नहीं पूछता. यहाँ पे संगम स्कीम है, ये गूगल इंडिया के साथ पार्टनरशिप में सिडबी ने एक कॉर्पोरेट सोशल रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी के रूप में इसको शुरू किया है. 1 करोड़ का लोन हम लोग दे रहे हैं इसमें. द ओनली रिक्वायरमेंट इज कंपनी रनिंग होनी चाहिए, प्रॉफिटेबल होनी चाहिए, उसके पास MSME उद्यम रजिस्ट्रेशन होना चाहिए और इसमें कोई प्रोसेसिंग फीस नहीं है, 0 अपफ्रंट फीस. Fixed rate of interest at 6% for the male entrepreneurs. If it is a female entrepreneur, the rate is fixed at 5.5%. This is the scheme. Crisp, clear and simple. इसमें एलिजिबिलिटी क्राइटेरिया सिर्फ इतना सा है, या तो लेडी प्रमोटर हो उसमें एंटरप्रेन्योर, या फिर कंपनी ऐसा काम करती है जो कोविड रिलेटेड हैजर्ड्स को दूर करते हैं, कोई भी ऐसा प्रोडक्ट या मैन्युफैक्चर वगैरह वो करते हैं. इसमें मैक्सिमम लोन 1 करोड़ तक का है. माइंड इट, इसमें सिर्फ वही कंपनी एलिजिबल होगी या वही यूनिट एलिजिबल होगी जिनका टर्नओवर 5 करोड़ से नीचे होगा, नॉट एक्सीडिंग 5 करोड़. सो ये वो लोग हैं जिनको जनरली कोई टच नहीं करता क्योंकि कोलेटरल होता नहीं है. आज मैं अपना बिजनेस विजिटिंग कार्ड इसीलिए भूल गया सर क्योंकि इसी केस का डॉक्यूमेंटेशन कर रहा था मैं वहाँ पे. सो आई फॉरगॉट माय बिजनेस कार्ड टू ब्रिंग हियर. अदरवाइज मैंने सोचा था यहाँ पे मैं रख दूंगा. सो गाइस यू नो यू कैन टेक द कार्ड्स इन केस किसी को कोई रेफरेंस है तो यू कैन कॉल बैक. सो जी ऑलराइट, आप लोग लिख लीजिए. आई एम सॉरी आई फॉरगॉट टू ब्रिंग द कार्ड. हाँ आई थिंक इट इज विजिबल टू ऑल ऑफ यू. बोल्ड करूं? ओके, फॉन्ट साइज बड़ा कर देता हूं मैं, नो प्रॉब्लम. नहीं वहां पे शायद मिले, शायद ना भी मिले. मिल भी जाएगा. मोस्ट ऑफ द कॉल कम फ्रॉम SIDBI वेबसाइट ओनली टू मी. सो दिस इज ऑल फ्रॉम मी. आई विल नॉट टेक मच टाइम. हाँ जी बोलिए.
जी
1 मिनट, दे आर गेटिंग द माइक बिकॉज मैम आई कैन नॉट हियर यू. वुमेन एंटरप्रेन्योर एस्टैब्लिश करने का मतलब है 33% स्टेक होना चाहिए उनका कंपनी में, और प्रोप्राइटरशिप है तो 100% हो गया, या पार्टनरशिप है तो उनका कैपिटल 33% से ऊपर होना चाहिए. दैट्स ऑल. जी.
So sir, my question was like if some client is there who doesn't fall under any of the schemes,
जी.
specific schemes,
जी
still the SIDBI will finance them based.
मैडम जैसा मैंने आपको कहा, आप यू नो वी हैव टू डिस्कस मैम, दीज आर द स्कीम्स मैम.
Yeah.
जैसे आपको बोलते हैं कि यू नो सौंदर्य साबुन निरमा के साथ ये फलाना ढिमकाना ले लो, तो जब आप जाते हो लेने तो मिलता नहीं है मैडम वो.
हाँ.
वो यू नो कंडीशन अप्लाई, फलाना अप्लाई, ढिमकाना अप्लाई, वो सब होता है.
Okay.
तो पॉइंट सिर्फ आपको ये है कहने का मेरा, केस आपका ठीक है, सपोर्ट वर्दी है, आपके पेपर्स बराबर है, यू नो नंबर्स आर गुड, एक्सपीरियंस है आपको, फिर कोई दिक्कत नहीं होनी चाहिए मैडम. ऐसा कुछ है नहीं.
Got it.
ठीक है जी. मैडम एक्सक्लूसिवली तो कोई है नहीं, आप किसी भी स्कीम में अप्लाई कर सकते हैं. जो 4 स्कीम मैंने शेयर की है और कुछ है नहीं. विमेन एंटरप्रेन्योर के लिए खाली ये संगम है अभी तो हमारे पास, जिसमें हम लोग 5.5% फिक्स दे रहे हैं. गोइंग फॉरवर्ड यू ऑल नो द रेट्स ऑफ इंटरेस्ट अभी और हाई होने वाले हैं. अभी तो और बढ़ेगा, अभी तो बढ़ा नहीं है, अभी तो और बढ़ेगा. यूएस के नंबर बहुत बेकार आ रहे हैं, मुश्किल लग रहा है. मतलब अगले 6-9 महीने में तो मुश्किल लग रहा है. जी.
Can existing loan also be taken?
नहीं सर, SIDBI doesn't take over. SIDBI doesn't take over. हाँ ये किया जा सकता है, वो क्लोज करके आ सकता है मेरे पास.
My registered address is Mumbai, but factory is it in Hyderabad. Will you do?
Yeah, what sir? Factory. Hyderabad branch has to do sir.
No, but registered.
No, that's okay. Because see, क्या होता है सर, फैक्ट्री आपकी लग रही है हैदराबाद में, मुझे प्रोजेक्ट इंप्लीमेंटेशन हैदराबाद में देखना है, मुझे कंप्लायंसेस हैदराबाद की देखनी है, मुझे मॉनिटरिंग वहां करनी है, और मेरे को यू नो एंटायर प्रोजेक्ट इज देयर. इट इज जस्ट नियर की कंपनी का रजिस्टर्ड ऑफिस है, इट डजंट मीन, उसको कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है सर. सो हमारी स्कीम डजंट परमिट दिस. सर रिसीवेबल फाइनेंसिंग SIDBI उसमें भी बहुत बढ़िया हाथ जला के बैठा है, बंद कर दिया है SIDBI ने. इनफैक्ट रिसीवेबल फाइनेंस सर SIDBI was the pioneer and founder of this scheme in India in 1991. हमने चलाया भी उसको काफी, लेकिन हमारे experiences अच्छे नहीं रहे उसमें, so we shut down that scheme in 2017.
सर लोकल मशीन और ब्रांडेड मशीन दोनों करते हैं?
सब चलेगा सर. ओवरसीज फैब्रिकेशन और फैब्रिकेशन आज एक इंपॉर्टेंट, अराइज के अंदर सेकंड हैंड मशीनें एलिजिबल नहीं है, प्लीज इसको ध्यान रखिएगा. और फैब्रिकेशन वाली मशीनें भी परमिसिबल नहीं है. आइडिया अराइज का ये है कि लोग इन्वेस्ट करें, इकोनॉमी को कंट्रीब्यूट करें और अपलिफ्टमेंट भी हो उनका साथ में. दैट्स द इंटेंशन.
Friends, last two questions, please.
Age criteria of promoter? Age criteria of promoters?
नहीं, वो एनबीएफसी का होता है, बैंक का नहीं है, हमारा नहीं है. सर आई कैनॉट हियर यू, बट आर यू आस्किंग मी द सेक्टर्स जो कवर्ड हैं अराइज में? या ऑफ कोर्स यू कैन डू. आई शेयर है, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. मैंने नंबर दे दिया आप लोगों
I
को.
mean, all sector you cover in this large
सर
scheme, na?
25 सेक्टर्स हैं सर. 25
Okay.
सेक्टर में
So-
हिंदुस्तान कवर हो जाता है.
So there is
मेजॉरिटी.
no negative sector.
नो नेगेटिव. नेगेटिव इज ओनली वन. जो ऐसी कोई इंडस्ट्री जैसे पेस्टिसाइड्स है, अगर उसके प्रोडक्शन में कुछ इस तरह की चीज यूज होती है जो ओजोन लेयर को डिप्लीट करती है, वो नहीं हो पाएगा सर. ब्रिवरीज वी डू नॉट डू, स्लॉटर हाउसेज वी डू नॉट डू.
So there is negative sector also.
हाँ, ये 3-4 ही हैं बस, और कुछ नहीं.
Okay.
जैसे
और
मैंने अभी
in
एग्जांपल दिया.
Jewelry, diamond sector.
ज्वेलरी डायमंड सेक्टर भी हम कर लेते हैं सर, लेकिन उसका थोड़ा सा
Okay.
स्ट्रिंजेंट है उसमें मामला. वी कैन डिस्कस ऑन
Okay,
केस टू
so
केस.
I'll discuss with you, sir.
So I think I'll now take, okay, last question I
Last
guess.
question. For an event management company, if it wants to invest in the purchase of sound system, LED wall and other technical requirements,
जी जी.
so I'm sure you should be able to do that.
Event management.
Yeah. Service industry.
Sir,
but
that
buying
sector is not
capital-
specifically covered under any of these schemes. Specific sector तो आपका आ नहीं रहा है मेरी स्कीम में.
Okay.
But we can think of, provided you know, वही वाली बात है, we'll have a discussion, let us understand the proposition.
Okay, okay,
अभी यहाँ डायस पे खड़ा होकर तो मैं सब कुछ आपको,
No
you know, I
problem.
cannot tell you.
Right, right, right. Thank you so much.
जी जी. हाँ देखिए, time is running, so I understand. इनका भी constant है, please.
We will have more interaction at the time of dinner, at the end of all the sessions, okay? He will be available over there, don't worry.
Hello.
जी, जी.
Can you tell something about Smile scheme that is
Sir,
making?
that scheme is now, you know, obsolete and outdated.
Okay.
Because उसमें rate of interest, देखिए फेज होता है हर स्कीम का, लाइफ होती है, शेल्फ लाइफ होती है हर स्कीम की. जो जिस स्कीम के टाइम पे जो चली वो चल गई. अभी नाउ स्माइल में हम लोग 7.5 पौने 8 का रेट चार्ज कर रहे थे, एंड दैट रेट वाज आल्सो लुक्रेटिव दैट टाइम व्हेन स्माइल वाज लॉन्च्ड. दैट वाज अ हिट प्रोग्राम फॉर सिडबी. अभी अराइज और स्थापना.
Last question from Rakesh Tulsian.
Are a resolution applicant or in IBC cases whether you can fund, we are going to acquire the.
मैं समझ
other
गया आपकी
company.
बात.
Yes.
सर ये देखिए, ये वेरी करता है चॉइस एंड असेसमेंट ऑफ द रेस्पेक्टिव ब्रांच हेड.
Branch head. So हमारी कंपनी अच्छी है, हम सामने वाली कंपनी को एक्वायर करने के लिए ले रहे हैं, तो उस समय चलेगा, क्योंकि आप बोल रहे हैं सेकंड हैंड.
सर मैं आपको, सर मैं वही कह रहा हूँ. देखिए, मैं एंटायर स्पीच में मैंने यही चीज आपको से कही थी कि वी आर नॉट द टिपिकल बैंकर और वी आर नॉट द कमर्शियल लैंडर. हमारा आइडिया है एमएसएमई को उठाना और मतलब बिना तकलीफ के उसको ऊपर लाने की कोशिश करना, बिना कोलेट्रल, अच्छे इंटरेस्ट रेट के साथ. इसीलिए मैंने आपको 3 सेगमेंट की स्कीम दिखाया आपको. अगर आपने देखा हो तो स्थापन, जहाँ पे 20 करोड़ तक गया हूँ मैं. अराइज, जहाँ पे मैं 7 करोड़ तक गया हूँ, और वहाँ 1 करोड़ तक भी गया हूँ, जहाँ पे लेडी एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को बेनिफिट है और मेल एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को भी ऑफकोर्स. तो हर रेंज की हर तरह की स्कीम मैंने आपको बताई है. सिक्योरिटी आपसे खाली स्थापन में मांगी गई है, रेस्ट कहीं पे भी कोई सिक्योरिटी किसी भी प्रमोटर से नहीं मांगी गई, कहीं भी किसी भी केस में. सब जगह वो एफडीआर है जो अदरवाइज भी उसको प्रमोटर कंट्रीब्यूशन के रूप में इन्वेस्ट करना होता है. सो विद दीज वर्ड्स आई टेक योर लीव एंड थैंक यू सो मच मुझे सुनने के लिए. थैंक यू.
Thank you, Rajesh Sharma ji. I believe that this is one of the most interactive session over here which I have seen. And we all are in hurry to catch at MIDC, SIDBI office. So I recognize the presence of Rudesh Pankhania, Regional Council member, and may I request him to please propose a well-deserved vote of thanks to Rajesh Sharma ji.
Good evening, everyone. I thought the voice had to be loud. Good evening, everyone. I think excellent session by Rajesh ji. Thank you so much for explaining all the schemes. That's it we had. I think we're going to have a lot of questions from the audience during the dinner as well. The importance of chartered accountants in the upcoming role on this International MSME Day. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you so much, everyone, for attending the session as well. We recognize the presence of Ms. Rachana Bhusari, the Vice President, NSE, and Mr. Navin Tekwani, Vice President, Securities Limited as well, for which the session is upcoming. Thank you so much. Let's move ahead with another session. Thank you so much, everyone.
So moving forward for the next session, I like to invite our session speaker, Rachana ma'am, on the stage, please. Now may I request Suddesh Pankhania, Regional Council member, to introduce our next session speaker, Rachana ma'am.
Ms. Rachana Bhusari, the Vice President. Rachana Bhusari is the Vice President at National Stock Exchange of India Limited and is responsible for primary markets business development initiatives of NSE for listing of equity and debt for corporates, startups, and the SME. She has worked tenaciously for development of securities market for SMEs by creating an enabling ecosystem. Represents NSE at various committees of SEBI for development of the primary markets, including the new age economy companies. She is a postgraduate in financial management and a law graduate with nearly 21 years of experience of working with NSE. Prior to the current role, she has been responsible for regulatory functions of the exchange, namely the investigation, surveillance, member supervision, and a lot more. Thank you so much, Rachana ma'am, for being here, and we welcome you. Thank you so much.
I recognize the presence of CA Gautam Lat, Regional Council member, and may I now request to present memento to Rachana ma'am. Gautam bhai, please. Ankit bhai, join. Udesh.
Good evening to all, and good to see the energy. I thought, the previous session sucked away all the energy, but good to see that there is some remaining here. Thank you so much. And I think I'm the last speaker. Second last. Oh, so last is always the bad one, because it's between dinner and the. So yeah, good evening. And here I am presenting to you an alternate fundraising mechanism, which is called the Fundraising Avenue for SMEs, NSE Emerge platform. The name itself, Emerge, signifies that this platform is meant for small companies, growing companies who are ready to emerge to, I would say, larger corporates and great business models. So basically, it comes to the point is that what is NSE Emerge? How it is different from the already existent mainboard platform? And what is it for a promoter that they should think about SME emerge, NSE emerge, and how important is the role of chartered accountants in this whole process of thinking and targeting the NSE SME platform for their fundraising opportunities. So if you look at, I think, all of us undoubtedly know that SMEs play a pivotal role in growth of economy of the company, and they are the backbone. And today on this International SME Day, I think we couldn't have done better than actually talk to the guys or talk to the chartered accountants who play a very, very significant role in the journey of the entrepreneurs. My experience of dealing with the SMEs in the last 6 years, my first meeting with the entrepreneur, they are completely gung-ho on the whole concept of SME emerge, and they want to be like, I feel they'll be the listed entity in the next 3 months. The second meeting, they say, ma'am, mere chartered accountant ko bhi thoda samjhana hai. And then we realized that there's no point in talking to an entrepreneur when his chartered accountant has not bought the concept. And that's how we started meeting with the chartered accountants and realized the significant role they play. And today, I really applaud and acknowledge the role that you guys have been playing in shaping the finances of the SME entrepreneurs. So there was already an existing platform which was enabling the larger corporates to raise funds, and the small and medium enterprises were completely deprived of this alternate fundraising mechanism through the capital markets. Acknowledging that capital is the most important factor for growth of any company, it was felt that we have to open up the capital markets even for the SME companies. And hence, this platform was launched in the year 2012. So today, this year, we are already celebrating 10 years of SME platform. Emerge platform was launched in March 12, and we had the first company being listed on NSE SME platform in September 2012, the same year. How it is same on the to the main board platform, and what are the differentiations? I think my next slides will talk about those things. So most important factor when this platform was determined or was being designed was the fact that you should not have any inconvenience either to the ecosystem which is already prevalent, or it should be easier to the companies who are thinking of tapping this platform. So to make it convenient to the ecosystem existing, it was said that all the merchant bankers who are currently registered Category 1 merchant bankers will also act as lead managers for SME IPOs. All the investors who are trading in the capital markets can trade on the SME segment as well. Brokers who are enabling today the investors to trade into the stock markets will be continue to enabling SME stocks to trade into the capital markets. So these three important stakeholders were taken care of. The most important critical was the issuer. How do you differentiate the issuer from the main board issuer? So SEBI prescribed an eligibility criteria, very simple criteria, that any company with a paid up capital of up to 10 crores can list only on the SME segment. And a company with a paid up capital between 10 to 25 has an option to list either on the SME platform or the main board platform. And with this very simple criteria that SEBI had put in place, NSE added several hygiene checks. One was about profitability. You need to have EBITDA profits for 2 years. After the 3 years, track record. So our requirement is track record of 3 years, 2 years of profitability, and positive net worth. Now, the next thing that comes immediately after I raise 3 years of track record, the next question that comes is, what do you mean by 3 years of track record? Is it the existence of the business or it's the existence of the company? Here, both the factors have been taken into consideration. Understanding the fact that most SME companies or most SME businesses would be existent in either form of a sole proprietor or a partnership. So to give benefit to the business that the promoter has been into, we give the benefit of the track record of the promoter into the company, even if it's a newly incorporated company. So you may have a 6-month-old company, but the promoter has been doing the same business for n number of years. He gets the benefit of the track record. So to simplify, we said that it has to be track record of 3 years. Now, this enabled a lot of companies to come and look at capital markets, look at SME platform, and as a result of which, we already have 255 companies listed on the SME platform. More than 4,000 crores of funds have been raised, and 37,000 crores is approximately the market cap of these listed companies. So the kind of growth these companies have charted since 2012 is humongous. We've companies across all the sectors. So we are also sector agnostic. We have 21 sectors which are represented by this 255 companies. And an important feature which this platform provides is about migration to the main board. While I delve more into my presentation, I will be speaking in detail about the migration, but the number here, 109, makes a big number, that out of the 255 companies which are listed on the SME platform, 109 companies are on the main board of NSE. So that itself depicts how the SMEs started small, grown not only in their businesses, but in their journey of the capital markets, traverse the journey from being a SME company to a main board company. Which company can list on Emerge? So it's not just that an eligibility criteria that is sufficient and they're good to go and list on Emerge. It's important that you have to be a growing company. Generally, what we see is early stage companies, they'll be seed funded either by the promoter, family, friends. But the need for capital is universal. It's always there, always existent. What happens in case the need for the capital is not satisfied, but the business is ever increasing, wanting to ever increase? In those cases, a growing company can tap this platform to convert itself into a larger main board company. So this can be a stepping stone to a large main board platform. What is the regulatory framework that has been put in place so that we make it easier and simplified for the SME companies to access this platform? SME platforms are very local by nature, not having a significant national presence. Understanding this need, it was felt that we cannot have a large number of people subscribing to an IPO, and hence number of allottees required for an SME IPO is pegged at 50. So if you have 50 allottees applying to the SME IPO, your IPO is good to go and successful. The second important differentiation that was kept for SME segment was this fear that the promoter would have that, I'm a very local company, I'm not known, I don't have a significant presence across the length and breadth of the country. So who's going to subscribe to me? So that factor about undersubscribed portion was taken care by the regulator by saying that you have 100% hard written underwriting in this case. So in case, for whatever reasons, your IPO is not completely subscribed, it's the responsibility of the merchant banker to complete the IPO by underwriting the unsubscribed portion. Now this works both the ways. The merchant banker will be extra careful in opening the IPO unless he's completely sure that he's sold the book. And the second is, even the promoter will be cognizant of the fact that where he stands with his books and what's the valuation he should expect, so that he's able to actually attract investors onto his IPO. The third difference that SEBI kept for this platform was about market making, 3 years of market making. Now, what is this market making? Market making is a process wherein an individual or a broker is appointed as a market maker who subscribes to the inventory of the company at the time of an IPO, and he holds the inventory in order to give a two-way quote, a buy quote and a sell quote on a daily basis, so that at any point of time there is no crunch of liquidity to an investor who wants to get in or get out. So market maker is the mandatory liquidity provider in the SME segment. Very important feature. Most of the SME companies are not overburdened, I would say, on a day-to-day basis with this kind of arrangement that you have a market maker who will take care of the mandatory liquidity. Some of the things that SEBI kept constant was about the DRHP disclosures, considering the fact that it's a disclosure-based regime and we should have all the information available to make an informed decision. So the DRHP has been kept in the same format. Another important factor, corporate governance was given very high importance, and the corporate governance norms have been again kept similar to that of a larger company. Minimum dilution of 25% is again what is required for an SME company as well. And the process for an SME IPO, the approval power vests with the exchange. So again, a big leeway given by the regulator. You don't have to wait for a SEBI approval to go for an SME IPO. You can just take exchange approval and go and open your IPO. So again, that's a big benefit. It's recognizing that SMEs need funds and SME also needs timely funds. So this process actually crunches down the approval time, and the companies are able to launch their IPOs ASAP. Migration, like I said, there's an important feature that the platform provides us, that if you list on the SME platform and you're there on the SME platform for 2 years, you have an opportunity or an option to migrate to the main board, provided your paid up capital is more than 10 crores and MCAP is more than 25 crores. Very simple criteria, these two, 2 years, and your paid up has to be more than 10 crores. If you are meeting this criteria, good to go, migrate onto the main board. Again, please understand this is an option that has been provided. It's not mandatory. So no company is ever forced by an exchange to migrate to the main board. They have an option whether they want to or not. So if I have to say, the option is that my first company which listed on NSE SME has still not migrated. They're still on the main board they're still on the SME board. So again, it's an option which the promoter wants to exercise or not exercise. Investors have been treated a little differently in this, in the sense that the lot size has been kept at 1 lakh and above. So this means this is a product for informed investors, so that we don't have retail guys participating in SME. So even at the IPO stage and post listing at the secondary market, the IPO, the application or the lot size has been kept at 1 lakh and multiples thereof. How can you list an NSE merged company? It's very simple. Once the promoter or the intermediaries feel that, yes, this is a good to go company eligible to list on the merged platform, they can engage with the merchant banker who will explain to them the entire formalities. And once the DRHP is prepared, they'll file it with the NSE. NSE will grant its in-principle approval post doing the due diligence, do a site visit as well. And once we grant our in-principle approval, you can open your IPO. After 6 days of closure of an IPO, the company gets listed on the emerge platform. Through this whole process from 1 to 7, NSE engages with the company on a very regular basis. Actually, we walk the path with them. We introduce them to the various intermediaries who can help them navigate this process. But at no point of time, NSE takes away the choice from the entrepreneur to select the intermediary. So we never say which intermediary has to be selected. We only guide advice about what are the various options available to them. Very important. Why should a promoter list? Because I think this is the most common question, that why should I list? What do I get out of listing? Obviously, the first thing that you get is funds. You get capital infused into your business. But apart from that, there are many intangible benefits that a company enjoys being a regulated entity. Is you get visibility. The moment you're a listed entity, you are treated separately, looked differently by your peers, by your competitors, by the stakeholders in the ecosystem. Everybody looks at you separately because you are now in the regulated space, being monitored continuously. You are under diligence of a regulator. So that makes a lot of difference to the company as well, and it adds to the credibility of the company. Very important factor, corporate governance. Obviously, listing presupposes some corporate governance norms to be in place, and that gives a lot of confidence to the stakeholders. And hence the company again enjoys credibility and visibility because of that. Appropriate valuation, migration to the main board are the benefits which are very obvious. Borrowing terms, again, this is a classic. I think this is a feedback which all my 255 companies have given us. The moment they're a listed entity, they have better borrowing terms from the bank, because banks look at them very differently and feel it's less risk because disclosures will be quite in place. So they have easier borrowing terms from the banks when they're a listed entity. You can use shares as a collateral. So again, it just enhances your debt raising capacity. And like I always say this, banks and exchange, I think debt and equity are complementary to each other. They cannot survive without each other. So it has to be looked in that manner, that the more debt you have, you need to infuse equity as well. And the moment you have more better equity into your company, you're able to infuse higher debt into your company. So it's quite, I think, complementary to each other, and shares as collaterals can always be a very good feature. We've heard promoters say that today I've given up the mortgage on my house and I put my shares as collaterals. And today I'm a little relaxed because the property is actually in my name today. As intermediaries, I think, like I said at the beginning, you guys play a very, very important role, a pivotal role in the company, SME company, taking the step towards capital markets. So you guys obviously are able to tell the promoters about what their vision is and how this platform can help them match with their vision. What are the various ways they can think about raising funds, at what time they need to raise funds. They can always guide them on the valuation aspect as well. And it's kind of a win-win for everybody. It's a win-win for you. It's a win-win for the promoter as well, because I think being on the IPO journey with any company, being a part of a listed entity obviously enhances the value that you guys have attached to yourself. And another important thing, and I would say is, all the chartered accountants take this with a pinch of salt, as what we always come across when we pitch about SME platform and explain to the SME entrepreneurs is the valuation aspect. Though NSE never gets into the valuation aspect, that's one thing which always is being discussed. So promoters always feel that they deserve more valuation for their companies, but obviously their balance sheets do not demonstrate the kind of valuations they expect. And it's more or less because we typically work towards a tax-oriented balance sheet. But when you decide to be a listed entity, you have to think about being into a growth-oriented balance sheet. And I think that is where chartered accountants will play a very significant role, that it's about saving tax or it's about paying tax and having better valuation. So I think the thin line, but a big difference. So I think it's very, very important that you guys sitting here today take cognizance of this fact that it's a trade-off, but it pays off in the very, very long run. So as NSE, we committed to help SMEs raise funds through this platform, and we do a lot of awareness sessions. So I think NSE is completely very highly aggressive on creating more and more awareness of this platform, reaching out to the length and breadth of the country. So we've done our events right from Jammu to Kanyakumari, I can say that. And we engage with all the associations, with all industry bodies to ensure that their patrons are aware of this platform and take advantage of this platform at the right stage. Based on the feedback that we received from our SME companies that they wanted to feel belonged to a particular index, we also launched an NSE Nifty SME Merge Index. So this shows the growth story. I don't have to say much about it. It's not a trading product. It's just a dissemination index. So that's how the SMEs have grown on the Emerge platform. And we hope we can see this being reflected in the SME companies that you are assisting with. So that's it from my side. Thank you. I'll be more than happy to take any questions. So just allow.
Anyone have questions can be asked.
Yeah.
Now.
This last thing, we have 5 regional offices across the length and breadth of the country at any point of time. And of course, I'm in Bandra Kurla complex here in National Stock Exchange building itself. With me are my colleagues Jayesh and Santosh. They're sitting right there behind. So please, you can reach out to any one of us, and we have regional offices as well to help you. Thank you so much.
May I now request CA Gautam Lal to propose well-deserved vote of thanks to Rachana ma'am.
So on behalf of WIRC of ICI, I would like to propose vote of thanks. Ma'am, thank you so much for sparing your time and sharing all your rich experience that when to go for SME IPO or NSE emerge and how to go about it and what are the benefits, and also telling us the growth story. I'm sure that all of the chartered accountants present today, we have certain clarity now, and if anyone has any kind of questions, they can ask them right now also, and they can connect offline also. So thank you so much, ma'am, for sparing your valuable time and sharing all the experiences with us. I would also like to thank Saurabh Azmira, chairman of Committee of MSME, for organizing such a wonderful event. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please welcome.
क्योंकि क्या है, उतने सारे व्हाट्सएप को रिस्पॉन्ड करना मुश्किल होगा मेरे लिए, तो मैं सामने एड्रेस एक बार लिख देता हूँ, MS Word. I hope it is visible to all of you.
Everyone can take picture of it also. Quickly moving forward to the next session, may I now welcome to our next speaker, Mr. Navin Tekwani, Vice President of Hem Securities Limited. Please welcome sir on the dais. Let's have a big round of applause for him. May I now request CA Gautam Lat to introduce our next session speaker.
Thank you, Saurabh. So, sir is an early growth stage investment professional, business consultant, and a sales consultant for startup and MSME. He has, currently heading the institutional sales and strategic alliance at Hem Securities Limited and advising companies for raising funds. With over 2 decades of experience, he has advised around 2,000 small businesses and startups to raise funds. And he is also a founding member of a training consulting institute where he was involved scaling up the institute from 4 employees to 400 employees. And with a vast experience of, raising funds, we look forward to hear from you, sir. We welcome you on behalf of WIRC. Now I request CA Saurabh Azmira to kindly present Momento to our today's speaker. Yeah, sure.
Very good evening to all. See, as Madam Rachana already mentioned that I'm going to be the most boring guy today. But trust me, what I'm going to speak is going to be one of the most interesting topics for all the chartered accountant brothers that we have today, brothers and the fraternity out here. It's an interesting way to put it across this way. And as ma'am also explained, most of the clients who would want to opt for this wonderful opportunity of listing their businesses, unlock valuation in their business through SME IPO listing, unfortunately are not able to understand the whole gimmick without the presence or the understanding of their most confident, most trusted advisor, that is all of you guys, the chartered accountants that look after his business. So first and foremost, though it's an international MSME day and there has been celebrations all throughout the day, this is the third event that I'm attending and speaking on today. And I'll also like each one of you to applaud for all of you. And without each one of us's commendable work, the MSMEs would have not been here as they are today. So please, let's hear it for all of us. We heard some wonderful schemes from SIDBI. We also heard the entire opportunity of listing on an exchange through Rachana ma'am. I've been asked to speak on the SME IPO process. I'm sure Rachana ma'am must have covered most of the things. I'll just touch upon basically how a merchant banker would carry on the entire SME IPO process. And at the same time, how getting your clients to know about this opportunity of creating immense newfound wealth for themselves, for their business, and for their investors, for their stakeholders per se. I'm going to talk about that. I'm also going to talk about how, as a chartered accountant, we all would be the most important key factor for the growth of our clients. At the end of the day, we are all in the practice for our clients to grow. Agree? All of us? This is one of the this is one of the short ways through which your clients can grow. And at the end of the day, if your clients grow, your practice domain also increases. Let me just start speaking on how earlier old India used to work in terms of businesses, in terms of fundraising, and how the new India raises funds. Quickly, I'll run through the slides. As we all know, a lot of businesses earlier were doing businesses, trying to fund their businesses through collaterals with the banks, taking bank loans, raising funds from friends and family, not inviting outside investors. They didn't want participation from seasoned investors. They were fearing interference. They were fearing a lot of yeses and nos from investors, which we typically used to hear from the VC and the PE investors. They were purely growing their businesses on year profits. वही 10-15-20% का top line, 10-15-20% का bottom line growth year on year. Every time they want to set up new manufacturing plants, every time they want to go for a capex, every time they want to go for expansion in terms of infrastructure, expansion in terms of manpower, expansion in terms of non-capex expenditure, they would have to raise funds, very capital extensive. All it led was there was very slow growth. The whole valuation of the business was dependent on the physical assets. And at the same time, we'd all agree, promoters भी लगभग 10-15% की ग्रोथ के साथ खुश रहते थे. ठीक है ना यार, इससे ज्यादा ग्रोथ करके करना क्या है? Then entered 2020, even in the toughest of times during COVID, we saw unprecedented foreign investments coming to the country. I'll talk about it. उसमें से बड़ा chunk किसके पास गया? But we saw unprecedented foreign investments, money coming in bucket full of dollars to businesses, to newfound businesses, to the startups of the world. There was a time when a lot of SMEs with whom I've been working with, they asked us questions. कि सर ये कल से आए हुए businesses जो सिर्फ 6 महीना, 1 साल ऑपरेशन करके $500,000, $1 million, सीरीज ए, प्री सीरीज ए, सीरीज बी, इवन यूनिकॉर्न स्टेटस 6 महीने 8 महीने में अचीव कर रहे हैं. We are here for years. We are here for 10 to 15 years. We've done our business for about 30 years, 40 years. हमें funding क्यों नहीं मिलता? Of course, it's a different ballgame altogether. Startups usually raise funds on the future valuations, basis of the technology, basis of the promoter's passion or the promoter's pedigree that he carries. And what these SMEs, the typical traditional SMEs lack is the way we carry the business. They still believe in working the traditional way, 10% growth से सीमित रहना, और बहुत बड़े changes के पहले internal resistance बहुत ज़्यादा चाहिए. Why am I bringing it all this? Because we as professionals, we as chartered accountants, I as consultant, I as a merchant banker, we all have to come together and be the agents of change, be the guiding force, be the direction that these businesses need to be able to compete with global businesses, to be able to compete with the startups that have come yesterday and overtaken these businesses. I mean, just imagine us as a 40-year-old stockbroking firm, we've been easily overtaken by the new age tech broking firms like the Zerodha, the Grow, and the Upstocks. Of course, they've totally relied on technology. But at the end of the day, of course, the number of users that these technology giants have had, they've also made stalwarts, the biggies of the stockbroking, change their business models. This is the power of startups. And obviously, that is the innovation that everybody should want to look. Let's look at how the new India is doing business by funding their companies. Through listing, it's an opportunity to make the equity as your own currency. I'm sure ma'am must have mentioned this. A listed company, though there's a dilution of compulsory 25% by the promoter, but this newfound equity in the business can also be used as a collateral for raising further funds from banks and from other VC and PE firms. Once the businesses are listed, the valuations need not be ascertained every time. Your stock price as a PE multiple of your performance on a daily basis, verified by the exchange, shows your company valuation on money control, on screener, on all the various places where the stock prices are shown. Business's valuation is instantly visible for everybody. As I mentioned, these business valuations, they're driven by business model, by the profitability of the business, by the top line, not by the assets. Interestingly, if there is a P multiple of about say 15 to an industry, and if there is a profit hike year on year in a business by about say 10 lakh rupees, the business valuation comfortably increases by 15 crore rupees. Do you agree? Correct? एक 10 लाख रुपए का अगर प्रॉफिट ज्यादा दिखता है on a P multiple of 15, the business valuation adds up by 15 crore rupees. If you speak to a traditional businessman who's not listed, 15 crore रुपए के valuation बढ़ाने के लिए, he would say, I would take at least 3 to 5 years to do that. But all it takes is a good half year or a yearly return with a 10 lakh rupees of a profit jump, the valuation will shot up by 15 crores. This of course results into faster growth, faster marketing reach, with increased profits, and promoters create a byproduct known as market valuation for their businesses. All we have to do is, as you and us, agents of change, we have to do a simple thing called as a mindset shift, which is most critical. Most of the businesses that we work with have so far worked with profit is the king, paisa ghar mein kitna aa raha hai, kitna bach raha is more important, tax saving measures, and of course, the founders, the promoters of businesses, they also want to see kacha pakka ya ghar mein kitna hamara kaam, at the end of the day, how much we are taking home. But if you want to create a legacy of a business, and if you want to grow the way these 670, 80 businesses have grown in the last 10 to 12 years, where as a merchant banker, since we've listed about 75 businesses till date, We've seen companies with about 30, 40 crores of valuation go to about 7,500 crore rupees in a year's time. I can name them. We've seen companies with about 100 crore of valuation on listing in about 3 years' time are comfortably, even in a current situation of a not so bullish market, they're also sitting at comfortable 2,500, 3,000 crores of market valuation. This particularly would have not been possible if this business would have run in a pretty traditional way. There are so many initiatives happening around, but the most important initiative is the last one at the extreme right is all of us, all of you, all the chartered accountant friends over here who are day in and day out working with these businesses, helping them resolve those challenges which are not even a cup of tea of an average entrepreneur. आप लोग वो सारे challenges handle कर रहे हैं जो एक businessman समझ भी नहीं पाता most of the times. These are a few concerns that your MSME startup and HNI investors would usually face. They are most often dependent on you to identify right opportunities. उनके business models को आप validate करते समय, they would be seeking your help. They honestly don't want to get into cumbersome paperwork and the technicalities. Due diligence and compliances, they rely on professionals like us. Most of the time, they need decisions on investments, whether they should get into a project, they should fund it themselves, or they should seek outside funding, or what is the best way to fund a project or an expansion. And most importantly, they'll always have trust and credibility issues whenever they approach a new bank, whenever they approach a new intermediary, whenever they approach a merchant banker. Obviously, a common ground of trust can be built by somebody as seasoned as you guys who know us better, who know the performance of the various service providers in the market. As I mentioned, there was about a 63 billion worth of private equity and venture capital investment that came in 2021. And 99.5% of MSMEs, they remain micro because they were not even party to this funding that has come in. All of that has gone to startups and they've become unicorns. India has got 103 plus unicorns as of today. So why do the SME clients of ours face this challenge for fundraising? Most of the times, there's a lack of credit history and preference for collaterals rather than cash flows. There's a lack of commitment to build a balance sheet. Most of the businesses, they remain micro because the balance sheet is not strong enough. If you go to a bank, if you go to a intermediary, even if you come to an exchange or a merchant banker, most of the time the valuations don't stand ground because the balance sheets are weak. Sir, आपका balance sheet ये loan support नहीं कर रहा. Sir, आपका balance sheet ये funding support नहीं कर रहा. Right? So most of the SMEs, they lack the commitment to build a balance sheet. And like Rajesh bhai said, they had to introduce a scheme for an SME who was not even able to give collaterals as well. People with a turnover of less than 5 crores, they had to bring a scheme where they are able to fund them even without collaterals. So most of the SMEs will not have the collaterals as well to support their loans. And most importantly, a businessman would not be able to articulate अपने funding की requirement या storytelling for their business. They would not be able to do it without the help of professionals like you and us. Let's make this session a bit more interactive. I know the topic is boring and I've been labeled so. What are these numbers? Anyone? Sorry? Lovely. Can we have a huge round of applause for them? What are these numbers? Can you please speak more about it? You missed the bus, ma'am. But well attempt. Okay. There are 6.3 crores of SMEs in the country. 80 lakh SMEs are registered MSMEs under various different government recognition portals. मतलब आप समझिए कि 5.5 करोड़ SMEs ने लगभग अपने आप को रजिस्टर करना भी जरूरी नहीं समझा, right? And these are official data. What is 615? Number of total listed SMEs so far, 615. Both BSE and NSE emerge, yes. Can you imagine the amount of alpha or the opportunity that we have over here? Huge. So we're talking about a dream of $5 trillion economy for the country. With listed companies, there are 6,000 listed companies, out of which on a daily basis about 1,000 to 1,200 are trading. Large caps, mid caps, small caps on the main board. They've brought this country to an economy for about 3.5 trillion, jaise taise, right? But agar imagine करिए ये 615 का फिगर 2000 भी हो जाए, why wait till 2025 to become a $3.5 trillion economy, a $5 trillion economy? You can become next year itself. Now, when India sees GDP contribution from the MSMEs, which is like close to 29% of the entire GDP, comes from an MSME, why the market capitalization is only 0.22%? अगर आपका GDP का contribution 29% है, तो market capital में 0.22% का contribution क्यों? It is us, you and me, my dear friends, that we need to educate our entrepreneurs towards the benefits of listing their businesses, unlocking the valuation potential in their businesses, and gain recognition in the nation building process of reaching to the 5 trillion economy much faster as anticipated by the government. These are the few benefits of listing. See, listing से सिर्फ पैसे नहीं आते, and most of the times पैसे आना जरूरी भी नहीं है, right? Most of the time, along with the listing and the newfound valuation, what happens is we've seen a lot of businesses have this newfound PR, brand building, buzz created around those businesses. We've also seen when a business is listed, आप अपने client को कहिए आप business list करिए और उसके बाद अपने बैंक के पास जाइए to renegotiate your terms of lending. Trust me, there'll be 50 basis to one full 100 basis points का फायदा immediately to your listed clients. The perspective towards listed companies changes overnight, not only from the investors, not only from the exchange, but also from the internal customers, the employees. They also want to work with listed companies. They also want to work with companies that are having the vision to grow, right? As ma'am said, out of 200 plus companies, about 110 plus companies have migrated to the main board as well. On the BSE, from 365 companies, about 160, 170 companies have also migrated to the main board. Out of the 75 companies that we've done listing so far, 24 have already migrated to the main board. These are the founders who listed themselves with a vision to go to the main board to take their company to a great level of achievements. Why would not an employee trust you? Why would not a seasoned, retired, or maybe a gentleman with about 25, 30 years of experience join a listed SME when he's offered an ESOP or a joining benefit through equity? There's a great sense of co-ownership between your employees and you when you share your equity, however small, even 5% to 10% with your employees, your clients' employees. They know, agar a company bada hua, at the end of the day, I can look at a great amount of corpus coming from these ESOPs. As I mentioned, even if the books are in place, even if everything is great, then also there's very low as 5% of a possibility for great businesses also, businesses who are growing year on year also, फिर भी 5% possibility होता है to raise funds. What is the reason behind it? As I mentioned, fundraising is a full-time activity and it is best left to experts like you and us. People who can help entrepreneurs build their story well, people who can help entrepreneurs shape their balance sheet well, people who can help entrepreneurs put the story in the right light. Okay, so these are the whole magic metrics of fundraising. and you and us will have to work on this together for your clients to grow in a much comfortable fashion. Coming to the most important part for which I was asked to speak, and there's no hidden fact over here, that a chartered accountant of today is more than the transactionary things that were happening a few years back. Today, a chartered accountant has to act as a, what do I mean by this slide? Good evening. Sorry? Okay, what is a Sarthi? पुराने जमाने में जब युद्ध होते थे तो रथी महारथी योद्धा महायोद्धा उनके सारथी होते थे. Okay, we call them drivers today, we call them chauffeurs. They take away the entire mundane troublesome work of the driving of the vehicle basically, but sarthis were more crucial in a war. Why? Because they were not just driving the chariot, they were also entrusted with the responsibility कि अगर राजा को खतरा है, right, तो वो सारथी आपको सेफ जगह पे ले जाएगा. Do you agree? Most of the times happened, but then आपका सारथी कौन है? As an entrepreneur, आपका सारथी कौन है? Rani Kaikeyi was also a सारथी to Dashrath. She saved his life and with selfish motive asked for 2 boons, which she used for her own favor, not in the interest of the nation. And we all know what happened after that. And then there is a Sarthi, we know the great Lord Krishna. I am requesting all of you to be a Sarthi like him. Be Lord Krishna to your clients. No offense, respecting all religions. It's a professional platform, but I'm just referring to an analogy. When Arjuna refused to fight, right? Your entrepreneur also might say, "Nahi bhai, nahi ho raha hai." It is you as his guide, as his supreme guiding force. You have to tell him, let's do it. This is what we have to do. Rather than just saying, okay, mera kya jata hai, right? Sometimes you'll have to show that Virat Roop also. What do you mean by Virat Roop over here? Well, I'm not saying कि आप अपने client के सामने वो 10 sir जीप बाहर यहाँ से लोग मर रहे हैं यहाँ से लोग पैदा हो रहे हैं. No, I mean you have to show him the large picture. You have to show him the large picture. The large picture of him becoming a great company, creating a business worth 1,500 crores of valuation, business that can be recognized globally. That is the Virat Roop that we all have to show our clients. And why not? We're in the world of fintechs, neobanks, revenue-based fundings. I love this line, which is there on the right-hand side. If you don't take care of your clients, somebody else will surely will. Do you agree? Most importantly, as the time grows, when your client is innovating, when your client is diversifying, it's about time that as chartered accountants, our practice also innovates or diversifies. And that is possible not by acquiring all skills by yourself. It is also possible by syndicating with the right partners. There are so many banking partners. There are other service providers that are outside your scope of work, with whom you can syndicate, partner, and collaborate. And at the end of the day, you can bring a lot of win-win for your clients. What is this? Trust me, अगर आप थोड़ा जल्दी रिस्पॉन्ड करेंगे तो मैं प्रॉमिस करता हूं कि आप सबको थोड़ा जल्दी खाने के लिए फ्री कर दूं. What is this? Correct. मैंने deliberately ICI Tower और NSE choose किया because Rachana ma'am was supposed to speak before me, so I thought let's be safe. But देखिए, we all know the way from here to NSE. But हम सब गाड़ी में बैठते सबसे पहले क्या करते हैं? हम अपने घर का रास्ता जानते हैं, ऑफिस का रास्ता जानते हैं. इसके बावजूद भी गाड़ी में बैठने से सबसे पहले हम क्या कनेक्ट करते हैं? क्यों करते हैं? हाँ जी, रियल टाइम अपडेट्स. करेक्ट. मैं चाहता हूं कि अपना रिलेशन अपने क्लाइंट के साथ गूगल मैप की तरह हो। आज हम ना चाहते हुए भी बिना गूगल मैप के ड्राइव नहीं कर सकते, अगर हम घर भी जा रहे हैं तो भी, right? The Android autos and the other features on the iOS have made it so convenient for us कि गाड़ी में बैठो, फोन ऑटो कनेक्ट हो जाता है, गूगल मैप घर 6:30 बजे वो पूछता है घर ही जाना ना भाई, ये नहीं पूछता किसके, बट पूछता है घर ही जाना ना. So yeah, what I'm trying to tell you is, let this relationship with your client be like a Google map where he's asking you on every step, what do I do for my growth? If I have to reach to a destination of about 1,000 crores, what do I do next? Should I take a left? Should I take a right? Should I go for this? What should be my next step? And as Google Maps shows you, if it is a 100 kilometers ka journey, you'll be reaching there approximately 2 hours or 30 minutes, 2 or 30 minutes. As chartered accountants, as business financial planners for our client, let us show him the map, the roadmap. कि बॉस अगर आपको 1,000 crore के turnover पे पहुंचना है, these are the various milestones that you need to achieve. First year में हम 30 crores से 50 crores पे जाएंगे, our valuation will increase by this. From 50 crores, if we go to 100 crores, our valuation will become like this. Then we might look at a perspective where we can look to list or maybe raise funds. That is the roadmap I'm trying to talk about. As I mentioned, Sarthi, not just a chartered accountant to your client, but to a finance partner, a partner who takes care of the financial aspects of your business. And how do we do that? From your regular practice, you'll have to identify a few potential outliers, people who have the potential to grow and perform, people who have been consistently growing by about 15, 20, 30% year on year. You can groom them, progressive entrepreneurs who are proactive enough. They've been participating in a lot of exhibitions, a lot of seminars like yours. They've been asking you proactive questions, and they have the potential to grow. As mentioned in the previous slide, we'll have to work on the mindset shift. Tax bachane se, trust me, koi 1,000 crore ka company nahi banta. We'll have to show profits in the books. We'll have to create that valuation, and then only they can unlock the great mindset, great potential in their business through the market dynamics that will kick in. Sharing the big picture, showing them about how the industry is growing, how their peers are growing. And trust me, as a merchant banker, we do a lot of research when we reach out to a client, telling them about what has been their growth story, how their peers have grown. Most of the times, they don't even know there's a peer. If somebody's in the western part of the country, he doesn't even know there's a peer down south who's listed and already breached the 500 crore market valuation, right? अचानक से उसको लगता है अरे ये लिस्ट हो गए, मुझे तो पता ही नहीं था. And as we all know, हमारे 35 मार्क आए चलेगा, लेकिन दोस्त फर्स्ट रैंक नहीं आना चाहिए, right? So that is the pain area that all entrepreneurs also have. सर आप अपनी कंपनी लिस्ट करवा लीजिए, देखता हूं, बट उसके ही इंडस्ट्रियल एस्टेट में अगर उसका फ्रेंड लिस्ट हो गया और उसकी मार्केट वैल्यूएशन 500 करोड़ चली गई, तो नेक्स्ट डे कॉल यू, सौरभ भाई लिस्टिंग कैसे करते हैं, right? So that is going to be the story. So you'll have to show him the big picture. As I mentioned right now, identifying the roadmaps for legacy creation. Most of the businesses 30, 40 years into business, founders face the dilemma, my next generation doesn't want to come into the business. Do you all face this question? मुझे पता नहीं मेरा बेटा who studied in the US, my daughter who studied in the US or UK, they don't want to come into this small business of mine. Sir, have you created something worth passing on? That is only possible if that business is 500 crores, 1,000 crores, 75% owned by the founder himself. कुछ देने के लिए sizable तो होना चाहिए ना pass on करने के लिए. Trust me, if the business is showing 1,000 crores of market capitalization, 50, 60, 70% owned by the founder himself, the son will be bent enough to come to the business next day, Papa, let's grow this business. But आप 15 साल से 20 साल से 5, 10, 15 करोड़ के टर्नओवर पे होवर कर रहे हैं, why would that gentleman want to join you? So let's create something which is a legacy for them. Involving a merchant banker. I'll come to a next slide, which would kind of help you identify how a right merchant banker should be for you and your clients. And then, of course, there is a handholding process pre-IPO, during IPO, and post-IPO. Most important slide for all of us. What are the benefits of having certain listed clients in our portfolio? So as a merchant banker, we have 75 listed clients for us. That's our bread and butter. But as a chartered accountant, if you have certain clients who are listed, what it does for you? Does it not expand your horizon from the regular practice do you have? Right? आप listed companies के requirements को भी समझते हैं, and now you gain that experience of having a few listed SME clients. You become the reason for somebody's success. You have certain success stories to share, and new clients also reach out to you with that comfort कि okay, मेरा listing भी possible हो सकता है. This gentleman has a few listed clients under his belt. Most often, you also see there's a betterment of client retention over a period of time. जब stagnancy आती है service में, बहुत सारे आपके clients, if their turnover increases and if you're not offering them something new as a practice, they would want to go to a bigger firm, right? Their needs might be different. You will never know as to what doesn't match their requirement. But अगर आप उनके growth path में day one से Google Map की तरह या सारथी की तरह जुड़े हुए हैं, हमने ये देखा है ना, गाड़ी चलते समय कहीं पे बीच में नेटवर्क नहीं आता है तो हम थोड़े से परेशान हो जाते हैं, है ना? हम ऑफलाइन चले गए, रियल टाइम अपडेट नहीं मिल रहा, ट्रैफिक टर्न कहाँ लेना है वो मिस आउट हो गया, किसी का कॉल भी आ जाए गाड़ी चलाते समय तो भी जब वो स्क्रीन 5 सेकंड 10 सेकंड के लिए नहीं दिखता है, we panic, अरे did I miss a turn? That should be the relationship between us and the client. We should be like an oxygen for him. He should be, I would not use the word dependent, but he should find it as necessary for his business to have a guidance from an expert chartered accountant like you. And that will also help you attract new larger clients who would look at your capability of having a few listed clients in your kitty. And at the end of the day, we all will grow along with the clients that we are serving. This is the process of an SME IPO. You'll have to appoint a merchant banker. A merchant banker is somebody who would do the entire running around, right from signing of the mandate, doing the due diligence, reviewing of the business plans and restructuring format, drafting the prospectus, appointment of other intermediaries, the company secretaries, the legal professionals, conversion of the company into a public limited company, and appointment of independent directors, filing of the prospectus and offer documents with the exchange, obtaining approvals from the exchange, obtaining ROC approvals as well, completion of post-issue compliances, promoting your opening and closing of subscription in the market, reaching out to the investor. Investor outreach is the most important criteria for a successful merchant banker. Completing of the entire pre-issue opening compliances, listing day, listing ceremony, showcasing the story in the right format. After listing, continuously assisting with a lot of official activities like merchant banking, and pre-IPO as well, a merchant banker would be also underwriting the issue. So if there's any issue over there, the merchant banker will be taking care of that as well. And obviously, a good merchant banker would not just list a business, he'll also be a guide to the business for migration to the main board, because that's where the whole action is. Okay, I'll quickly run through a few slides. This is what we do at Securities. We have various options for MSME clients, for startups. We happen to be one of the very few financial intermediaries who also have a startup fundraising platform called Angels. We have strategic investments through private equity and venture capital. And for Rachana investors, we have various alternative investments through startups, SME IPOs, and portfolio management services. Last couple of slides. I know the food must be interesting and all of us must be hungry. So how to choose a right guide for a successful IPO? What you should look into a merchant banker before signing up for your client. A good merchant banker would have a proven track record. Somebody who would have got a multi-sectoral experience. Somebody who would have done enough number of SME IPOs to be able to cater to the different, and trust me, each IPO is a different animal to tackle. Somebody who would have handled each and every query of a separate sector, of a different valuation status, of a different company ownership structure, a merchant banker should be able to tackle all of that if he's got enough experience. Of course, fundraising through an SME IPO is all about investor relations. Most of the businesses who were not even knowing that SME IPO is an opportunity for them had a very pertinent question saying that, "Mere business mein paisa kaun lagayega?" But trust me, today even marquee investors, family offices, micro VC funds, they are also interested in investments in SME IPOs. Last 6 months before 31st March 2022, when the overall global sentiment was down, before that, we saw unprecedented interest from investors in the last 3 IPOs that we did in the month of March. One of the IPO got oversubscribed by 200 times. An issue of about 50 crores got a commitment of 7,200 crores of fund. There were about 20 family offices or HNIs who applied to own the entire 50 crores of that funding in one go. And all we were able to give them was 5 lakh, 6 lakh rupees ke shares. Such was the frenzy. And of course, with the small blip that is happening right now, I call it a blip after Avengers, this is soon going to pass. And the investment or the investor sentiment is going to overturn pretty soon. Industry focus, like I said, somebody who's seasoned enough who's well connected in the industry, somebody who can take the mandate and ensure that it is successful. Somebody who's an experienced person as a market maker who would ensure that the whole purpose of listing a business on the market is the value creation, the market capitalization formation is ensured through market making. I'll just quickly give a brief about Securities, our introduction. I'm Navin Tekwani, Vice President, Partnerships and B2B Sales at Securities. We are a 40-year-old firm based out of, headquartered out of Jaipur, corporate office in Mumbai, Lower Parel. A stockbroking firm which in the last 10 to 12 years has diversified into merchant banking and investment banking. We are a SEBI registered category 1 merchant banker. So we are very much happy to serve your clients for the valuation certificates, merchant banking valuation certificates. We also are having about 75 SME IPOs so far to our credit. Out of, for these 75 businesses, we've been able to raise about 800 crores of capital. The current market capitalization of this 800 crore raised companies stands northwards of about 12,000 crores against the whole 50,000 crores of business capital that we see in the market on the SMEs. This is the kind of position that we have. I rest my speech over here. I'm open to answer questions. Though I'm not a chartered accountant.
Anyone have questions can be asked now.
Yes,
backside, Mr. Rajesh.
The identifying of the client till it is listed, how much time it takes?
Well, the entire process of since the time the mandate is signed to about listing the business can be done in as small as about 3 months. And as Rajesh ji said before me, it totally depends on the proactiveness of the client. I'm not just quoting unquoting him, but yes, if everything is submitted with the same speed the way it has been asked, obviously we've got companies listed within 3 months of time. Hard side.
Thanks.
Mr. Rajesh, backside.
Okay, so there are two types of costs, and they depend from merchant banker to merchant banker, and of course the scope of work, obviously. So there's a fixed component which is called as a merchant banking fees as an entire and other expenses that would be there, the legal expenses, the exchange fees, the converting of a business from a private limited to a public limited form. So that comes as a fixed fee, And then there is a fundraising fee, which will come only if you are opting the same merchant bank for raising funds. Something that comes through promotions from the market, the merchant bank would not charge you for that. There's an underwriting fees. And as a compulsion, your client has to dilute about 25% plus 1.3%, which is like 26.3% in a single IPO round. So this 1.3% is typically reserved for the market making activities. So these are typically the fees on an average for about 10 to 15 crores of an IPO size. The cost should come to about 50 to 60 lakh rupees, right? Oh, that's a most favorite question. So yes, there are no compliances, no huge compliances difference between a listed and a non-listed business. I would say 15-20 का भी फर्क नहीं है. आप अगर एक regular business है and if you are well compliant non private limited business, आप 16-17 compliances usually करते होंगे, but as a listed company आप 20 compliances करते होंगे. The major changes, major earmark changes are: one, you need to have a full-time company secretary on your payroll. Two, you'll have to inform the exchange about your board of directors meeting in advance. अब कैसे हो रहा है? We did our meeting on this particular date, right? If you're a listed company, you have to tell about your board meeting well in advance. That's it.
What is the difference between the MSME listed company and normal listed company compliance level?
Okay, so compliances on the main board are pretty tough, and most importantly, more than that, the difference is there in the entire process. So for listing it on the MSME exchange, the criteria are pretty relaxed. जैसे आपको अगर SME, BSE या NSE पे list करना है, your paid up capital, okay, should be around 10 crores and should not exceed 25 crores. But अगर आप main board पे जाते हैं, तो it has to be 25 crores of paid up capital, right? And approval on the main board has to be taken by SEBI, from SEBI. Here you can take approval from the exchange and move ahead. So it's slightly comfortable as compared to SEBI.
Any other questions?
I have my colleague
Mr. Ji, backside.
Sorry, I have my colleague Abhishek and Rajan from my team at Securities. Abhishek and Rajan, if you could just join me. I'll request if there are any technical questions, I'll ask them to handle, because they've been instrumental in taking us to about 35-40 SME IPOs that we've done in the last 4 years. And these guys are champion of their trade. Thanks, Abhishek. And
yeah, as if you are saying for the CS, so what would be the there will be the sharing ratio which you would be share with us regarding?
I'm sorry, if you can say that again.
You can come in front, please, Abhishek ji.
Whether not there would be some sharing with the CA regarding this fees, etc. So what would be the ratio?
Sir, we can discuss that and we can handle those kind of queries one-on-one on this professional platform. Of course, what we do is we ensure that the client grows, and we ensure that we respect the guides to those clients who have helped them grow together.
Any other questions?
Lovely. So it was a pleasure talking to you all. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Really amazing sessions. Let's have a big round of applause for Navin sir. Little louder. Sir, thank you very much for joining us here and sparing your valuable time and sharing completely insight related to the challenges faced by SMEs, benefit of listing, magic metrics of fundraising, the shift in the role of CAs, and story to become Sarthi like Krishna. So thank you very much on behalf of WRC and all the participants for sharing your wonderful knowledge with us. May I now request Chairman WRC, CA Murtuza Kachwala ji, for his closing remarks.
Thank you, Saurabh. Friends, before we end the session and go for dinner, couple of announcements which I wanted to make. Some of you must be aware and you would have seen the standees outside. So this year, India will be hosting the World Congress of Accountant and ICI will be hosting it. The World Congress of Accountants is happening for 120 years and this is the first time it has come to India. Last time, 4 years back, it was in Sydney. Every 4 years it happens and it will be happening at the Geo World Convention Center just across in November on 18, 19, 20 and 21st. And we are expecting about 6,000 people physically and 10, 12,000 people virtually attending the World Congress. And there will be delegates from across the world. Each and every international accounting body and almost all international chapters of ICI. So I would request all of you to register for the program. Also spread the word to your friends and colleagues. And this is not only for chartered accountant, but all accounting professionals. So we will be looking forward to host you. In fact, I should say everyone in Mumbai are the host. So we should all look forward to host people who will be coming from across the world. It will be a good networking opportunities. And in this World Congress, of course, corporates can be sponsors, international firms can be, but this is the first time ICI is also allowing Indian firms to be sponsors. And for a certain fees, you can even have a talking slot in the conference room where like the delegates can listen to you about your firm, about your services, etc. And that also gives you some free delegate passes and other benefits. So please look at the sponsorship brochure as well. The second important thing which I would want to request all of you is, like earlier mentioned by Arpit Kabra, the whole CA course curriculum is going through a revolution and we are completely changing it. And the current in the course curriculum, the articleship is 3.5 years, which going forward, it is suggested that it will become 2 years. And only after you complete your intermediate, you will be able to join your articleship. And the whole new curriculum, the intent is to make the foundation the toughest, so that if people are not disciplined, then they don't enter inside. Once they come inside, clear the foundation, then the IPCC or the intermediate, whatever we will call, they will need to clear that. That will be a little less tougher. And once they clear that, then final will be a little more easier. So once you come inside, becoming a chartered accountant will become that much more easy. And only after you complete your both the groups of intermediate, then only you start your articleship. Because then people say 3 साल बर्बाद किया, articleship किया और बाद में कुछ हो नहीं रहा है, that way. So no, we don't want that. You get along and do something else in your life. That is better. Now, once they get into the articleship, they complete 2 years articleship, then only they will go for GMCS orientation ITT, and then only they will appear for the final examination. So during the 2 years articleship, no chutti at all, except for 12 days, which you can call it a PL or a sick leave or whatever it is in year. So 2 years, 24 days. Because the biggest problem today is the students say that principal is not ready to give leave for GMCS orientation, ITT and XYZ. The principal says कि हर 3 महीने 4 महीने में छुट्टी मांगता है और ये कोई काम का ही नहीं है. And then the 1/6 calculation again becomes difficult. And there are so many cases which come to ICI, we have to keep on resolving those cases of how to calculate the 1/6. And then during the chutti, the principal does not want to pay the stipend and ICI says कि check किधर है हर महीने का. So there are so many of these problems. This will all be resolved by removing this 1/6 now. Okay. Now, of these 2 years, 1 year can be done as industrial trainee. Similarly, a person completes final, will become a chartered accountant, can go and do an industry job. They can go and do financing. They can go and do anything which does not require a certification and which does not require a UDIN to be generated. But the moment you say you're going to sign a tax audit or a GST audit, or you're going to sign a certificate and you need a certificate of practice, then you need to undergo 1 more year additional articleship. Now, a student may want to do the 3rd year articleship now, if after 5 years or 10 years he's going to get into practice, or he can go into industry, and after 10 years, if he wants to come into practice, again he will have to do 1 year articleship with the CA firm. ऐसे नहीं है कि इंडस्ट्री में 10 साल काम किया, उधर प्रोजेक्ट फाइनेंस किया, ट्रेजरी कैश मैनेजमेंट किया, यहाँ के टैक्स ऑडिट साइन करना चालू कर दिया. They do not know standard, they do not know accounting standard, they sign and then it gets a wrong name for the institute, for the chartered accountant fraternity. And 70% of the disciplinary cases are against those members who have spent time in industry 10-15 years and come and started practice. Unfortunately, that is the numbers which we have to back it up. And that is the reason the institute has now come up with this plan. Lot of thought has gone into it, lot of debate and deliberation has happened. The whole structure has gone to the ministry. The ministry has given in principle approval. We request each and every one of you, please go to Board of Studies, CRET, and give your feedback. We want feedback from students, from parents, from chartered accountants, from professors, and we want to incorporate all this feedback. Again, go back to the council. The council will take it to the secretary, then to the ministry, discuss, and then ultimately it will become a reality. But whatever we do now, we're going to bring about a major change. The final examination, 8 papers will become 6 papers. We are going back to a basic chartered accountancy course. We want to teach accounting. We want to teach direct tax, indirect tax, and company law. अभी allied law है, 50, 100 कितने law है, क्या पढ़ेगा कुछ मालूम नहीं बच्चे को. We want only the company law now. And there is an elective paper on allied laws if you want to go and learn something. There is an elective paper on risk management in the final if you want to go and touch upon this. But then ultimately, if you want to become a specialized in forensic, you will have to do a certificate course later on. You want to become an expert in internal audit, you will have to do a certificate course later on. Everything cannot be taught. Otherwise, क्या होता है कि like you get little of everything, but you're not expert in anything. So a lot of thoughts have gone into it. Look at the examination, look at the papers, look at the scoring, look at the attempts. And we also brought in something to kill the noise about the IIA, which is not there anyone in writing. It was only one human being who had his own thought, which he mentioned to the while tabling the bill. There is nothing in writing anywhere about the IIA, which the media made so much of noise. The ICI now wants to come up with a degree, which will be called as a bachelor degree. And any and every person who has done articleship or cleared 1 or 2 groups of intermediate in his life, whenever 15 years back, 20 years back, can come and get that bachelor's degree, but he has to complete those 4 criteria. And these are people who will be those bachelors, BAA from ICI India, and they will be available so that then people who could not complete CA, they come back to the institute. One last thing before I stop. As we all know, around 350,000 chartered accountants today, and the assessment which has been done, the real need in the country is about 10 lakh chartered accountants. That means we are falling short. The industry needs so many of them. Today, someone from Citibank was here and they said they wanted to hire 30, 40, 50 people. And every organization has got vacancy for chartered accountants. So overall, the idea will be now to go out to the market and start marketing a course. हमने आज तक marketing नहीं किया है. और बाकी सब institute जो है competition, the so-called certificate courses, they go and do so much of noise. So इसके लिए अभी now ICI will even start marketing on Radio Mirchi. You will hear jingles on Radio Mirchi also about ICI. You will see full page, quarter page, half page advertisement in Times of India and Economic Times also. And we will do anything and everything that is possible. So one request, friends. We only can do something good for ourselves. When there is something negative, छोटा सा कुछ गलत हो जाता है तो लोग जाके negative लिखते हैं और फिर उसको हम ही लोग WhatsApp पे circulate करते हैं. I would request, if you think something good is being done by your institute, please write about that also on social media. अगर आपको लगता है आज का प्रोग्राम अच्छा था, आपका दोस्त यहाँ पे मिल गया, उसके हाथ में सेल्फी लेके डाल दो Facebook पे और लिखोगे MSME Day, good program. The speaker spoke well. Okay, write about Navin, write about Hirenji, write about Rajesh, he spoke so well. Write something good about the institute, guys. If we write something good, we'll only do favor for ourselves, right? For our institute and for ourselves. Only positivity can increase our value. Let us not write negativity and spoil our own value. That will be my request. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot for joining here, all of us physically, and also a round of applause for all the speakers today, and for Saurabh, Chairman of MSME Committee, for organizing this program. We request you all to please join us for dinner on the first floor. Thank you. Any questions, we are happy to take on any of this thing, or otherwise happy to close the session.
Any questions? Friends, I believe we have celebrated International MSME Day in an efficient way. Yes? Answer. That's great. This is the motivation which encourages us to organize more and more program over here. Thank you very much for joining here. Let's join on the first floor for dinner, please. Let's have a big round of applause for each one of you for joining us over here. Thank you.